And we're live.
We are? Why are we live? I didn't say we should be live. What's going on? Why are we on the internet? What's happening? Why am I here? Last thing I knew I was in some different dimension. Now suddenly I'm here. What did you do, Stuart?
I've co-opted your soul.
Oh no. I was having tea and crumpets, now I'm on a live stream. What the hell?
How very English of you.
Yes. I thought, how can I make the joke even more English? Tea and crumpets, lad. Dear me. Stuart, has it been snowing in Canada?
No.
So saying England got snow and Canada did not.
This is the way.
This is never the way. What do you mean?
I see you got quite a bit. So.
Yeah. I'd say so. But are you likely to get, all of January and all of February snow? Like, you escaped this one, and you're going to get days and weeks of snow to come.
Yeah, we will probably get some. I just don't know when.
Yes.
It's been very mild over here, so
yeah,
I'm fine with that, honestly.
Well, yeah. That was us for the first. That was us for November. It's now -3. That's real cold.
It's currently -1 right now.
Oh, right. But obviously you don't feel it because you've got the toasty air, not aircon, but the heating.
Mm-hmm.
And only 3 of our 9 radiators work in this house, so.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean the bathroom's freezing, my bedroom's freezing, the kitchen's freezing, unless another source of heat heats it, like from the grill or the radiator. But yeah, nothing works.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't get like -32 like we do sometimes here.
What? Isn't that death level, surely?
No. -32 is pretty typical in Canada in the winter.
But what happens to
the only place that the Celsius and Fahrenheit scales line up is -40. It's cold. It's kind of a bitter cold, but yeah.
Well, I mean, 32 is mild hypothermia. If it goes below 28, you die. So I think -32 is pretty bad if you die 4 more degrees.
Yeah, -32 is it gets to that sometimes here.
If the temperature drops below 32, then you start shivering and pass out.
Is that Fahrenheit or Celsius?
Well, Celsius, because both work in Celsius, Stuart.
Yeah, I know. But,
yeah, because Fahrenheit would be nothing. That'd be like t-shirt weather receiving. How cold in the North Pole in Celsius? -40, so not even that much.
Yeah. Don't think I'm -32 often.
Oh no, it's Fahrenheit. Oh, no, yeah, 40 and 40, yeah. Okay. Oi. Have you seen snow, audience?
All 11 of you? 13 of you?
Let us know right now.
Yes.
Hi, Stuart.
Hi.
It's like we haven't talked in 4 days, and it's like, yep, just go straight into it. Oh, you're live. Having a conversation.
All right.
Oh, Stuart, you didn't press go live yet. Yes, you did. Okay. No, right? No. No, you didn't press go live yet.
I did though.
Are we live? Okay, my studio says no. Does the internet say nope? Hasn't gone live.
I hit it, and then it said there was an issue, so I refreshed it. And
Oh.
anyway, we're live now. So.
That was the best snow talks. Oh.
That was just us catching up.
Apparently. Goodness. It's still.
Hi, everybody.
It doesn't say live. No, really. Yeah, now it does. Okay.
Yeah. Don't know what to tell you, man.
So we were just live to ourselves for 5 minutes discussing snow and weather. For about 8 minutes there. Turns out it didn't go live. There was an error. So we had a great intro to live. That you'll never see, audience. Oh God. Well,
It's fine.
we're not gonna do that
It's
again,
fine.
Stuart. Because we're really good. Well, now we've caught up, as you say. I'm gonna start showing it for real. Because now
Go for it.
we're live. It's just ridiculous. It's such a good conversation as well.
Oh well, it's fine. All right, guys. Everybody hit that like button. You know the routine. Judge 1981 says, I come in peace. Well, that's good. But yeah, hit the like button. Join the channel if you're able to. Super chat, obviously, because this is a Drunkyard, so you guys kind of dictate how much you drink and how fun this is going to be. So please consider doing that. Or like I said, join the channel, kind of a monthly subscription service way of helping us out. Or you can do that the same kind of thing over on Patreon. So Patreon/Trekyards to support us on a monthly basis. We would really appreciate it. And if you do it here, you get a rank, you get, your name highlighted in green, you get a badge beside your name, which changes the longer you've been here. So, I mean, it's fun stuff. In the description down below of every video, because there's links to TeePublic and Teespring store, where we got great Trekyards merch and all that cool stuff. So all the ways you can help us, we appreciate it. But super chatting, we do read them all on the air, and we do, discuss what you guys want to talk about. So if you're able to help us, please do so. That's the spiel. That's the whole thing. This should be a fun time. I'm just going to open my beer. Unfortunately, I only have a can right now, but it's Trekyards Red, in case anybody's wondering. Tara says, oops, I hit return by mistake. Choices for kids, newbies, TOS fan in Strange New Worlds, parody fan in Lord Ducks, TNG fans in Picard, etc. Ooh, Judge 19 says, whoop, been a while, with the $25 super chat. That is a shot. And I'm drinking for my shots today Crown Royal Peach. So very good if you like peach and you like whiskey, and it's very good. And of course I spilled some on my desk. What a great way to start off. But thank you, Judge. That is great. Fantastic way to kick things off. So cheers to you, sir. It's my Skynet shot glass. So, yeah. Hold on. We already got a super chat for a shot there, my dude. So I already took my shot, but there you go.
Good.
But thank you, Judge.
Yes.
Mucho appreciato.
The party a la started. Lost the damn thing. Where is it? All right.
Judge 1981 also says, did you see, sir, that there is a Romulan ale out now? I did. Can't get it in Canada, though. They won't ship across the border. So that kind of sucks.
What sort of ale is it, do you think?
Probably like a blue curacao, I would guess. It is blue in color, so it's hard to say.
I wonder if it's like a custom brew, or they just like licensed out another drink. Said, hey, do you want to be a Romulan ale? Yeah,
I mean, there's been lots of alcoholic blue drinks that I've had in glasses. Hey, this is my Romulan ale. Ha 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 ha.
So I don't know if you guys saw the picture, but we had no room in the fridge or the freezer. So my solution was put the bottles outside at the -4. So my drinks are naturally cold. No added preservatives of freezing. And this is the Kopberg Strawberry and Lime Vodka. It's new. Haven't drank it yet. It's got a cork. Cool. And I bought it like a year ago, but it's festive. So it's Kopberg branded vodka, which is weird. Got it as soon as I saw it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. I mean, it's not good. As in, vodka is not good. But it should have a bit of extra oomph to it.
Fair enough.
Yes, people want my reactions, don't they? Dear me. And we hopefully have a special guest today, Nick Cook from Star Trek Intrepid, or 19 years of fan films. If you've been into fan films at all in the last 2 decades, you'll have heard of the great man. Will hopefully be joining us at some point during the live. He of course has his family, but we're of course going for many hours. So I said, whenever you're around, jump in and add the topic, which of course is this. Stuart, read out, and I'm do a quick poll, see what people think straight away.
Are we in the golden age of Trek? Many people have freaked out about this on the comments already, yelling out no and stuff. And I'm like, I didn't say that we're in the golden age. It's a question. It's a discussion. And Dan is like, have you guys done this video before? I mean, yes, we've used this as a topic before, but it was just a good general discussion.
Well, also
topic.
that was before Prodigy and Stranger Worlds, and would have been.
It wasn't though, because we did it not that long ago. I do remember that. It was just a regular live where we had this discussion. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we had a lot.
Go look.
Okay.
Go look. Trust me. Judge 1981 throws in another $25.
Ooh.
One more to grease the law. Yeah. Thanks, man.
So it's 15 months ago.
Yeah.
But you know, we barely had Prodigy. We had less low decks. We had no Stranger Worlds yet. So still.
Son of a bitch. Hold on.
Oh.
My lid to my drink. I gotta retrieve it.
So yeah, there has been more Trek. Oh, thank you, Judge. We're doing the one. Haha.
There we go. Put that back on so it doesn't spill. And thank you, Judge. Much appreciated. Yeah, we've had more time to marinate in new Trek now, so.
And I think you could argue that there's turned a corner with the lesser Trek of the late 2010s has crossed over into the better Trek of the early 2020s.
Yeah.
Although, how many directors for Star Trek 4 have we seen since we last did our Golden Age live?
Yeah. Yeah, no shit. And I'm just going to put it out there right at the beginning so people know. I do not think this is the golden age of Trek by any means. I've always maintained it's more like the Silver Age, much like I relate it to comics. The Golden Age had Batman, Superman, all the big guys. And then the Silver Age came around and all of their side characters got spin-off comics. And there's much more diversified, more out there. But you still got the heavy hitters that were the ones that set the standard. So this is the Silver Age of Trek, if anything. Kenny Ambrose actually messaged me earlier and said, I can't make the live, but I think this is the shiny plastic age of Trek. And I'm like, that's a little bit of a disservice, I think. The only plastic Trek is Discovery. Everything else is, has its good things. Even Picard has a few good things. Picard's kind of the shinier plastic, maybe the more high quality plastic, but it's, it's not the Picard that we knew from TNG. So we'll see how season 3 goes. We'll probably revisit this discussion at some point. But yeah, it's kind of my take on it. And a lot of people do yell out, fervently that yes, this is the golden age of Trek. And I'm like, So what are your thoughts, though, Sam?
Well, I'd like to see what Nick says, because he's been around, as long as you both have, but probably, well, yeah, I mean, you got to have been more in the community than you, because he did fan films and he knew people. You're more a passive observer for years, and then suddenly massively active with all of us. So I assume, he's been. So it's a good perspective going in. Just pricking all the render buttons, because that is corrupted a little bit. It's a. I think we'd have a different discussion last year as we did. It becomes interesting to rewatch our comments, because I feel like the landscape has changed so much in relatively not a long time. Especially, I guess we were coming off that would have been, what would last year have been? Was it End of Discovery, leading to Picard, maybe? No.
Yeah, I would think it's about there, and plus the Stranger Worlds on the horizon. We're probably discussing that coming out.
Okay, Star Trek Picard S2 release date. When was that? October 4th. Okay, so it was before season 2 of Picard. Okay. Right. If you're going with, the most content ever, of course it's the golden age. No other era has ever remotely came close.
Well, if you include video games, the video games were plentiful back in the golden age, I think. Much more so than now. There's very little out there. And Tara asked, what is the golden age of Star Trek, 1967? No. the late 80s, early the 90s.
It'll be season 4 of TNG to, DS9 season 7, I would suppose. sort of those sort of 10-ish years.
And all the movies that were in there as well. Like there was a lot of good Trek on.
Because I mean, games are a tricky one because like there are more people playing Stowe and Starfleet Command than ever played those games because more have computers. So if it's just by pure numbers, then far dwarfing. Yeah, a lot less people on computers. I like less hardcore people, but more people played Stowe than ever played any other game, etc. Better games, probably, but certainly that's an interesting side note. But less people play the games than watch the shows. So again, if you're talking pure viewership, the shows are getting far more traction than the games ever did. And again, less people owned computers. But in terms of fully diversified. Let's say it this way. I mean, today's probably the golden age of Star Trek on TV, what with 5 shows. But the mass media diversity campaign, I mean, is so varied that none of the show brands connect. So none of the toy brands connect. None of the video games connect. It's all entirely sporadic. Whereas back in, like you'd said, the other games, everything was in this one unified time together. But there you could say, oh, Patrick's in that, Worf's in that. Oh, we're going back. It's all connected correctly. This is all 5 independent things. Nothing connects. The Prodigy game is not anything to anything else.
That's the other thing, though. Like, even back in the 90s, toys were plentiful. Mm-hmm. The Star Trek toys, there's so many from Playmates and stuff. Mm-hmm. Now there's like crickets and like tumbleweed on the shelves for Star Trek toys and merchandise, which is sad because these shows demand it, I think. So if you include games, toys, the good series on TV, all of them, and the movies, I mean, that was the golden age in my opinion. Sure, this is a little more diversified, but it's more scatterbrained, and there's the level of quality differentiates so much now as opposed to then. Like there you could tune in any show, and yes, a lot of people are like, Voyager wasn't good or whatever, or DS9 was too dark. But the quality of writing, the attention to detail and canon was all there. Here, it's very hit and miss. Lower Decks and Prodigy are kind of nailing it with canon and the way things look and the storytelling. Picard is just embarrassing. Discoveries shouldn't even be considered Star Trek, in my opinion. Like... So you've got varying ends of the scale now, as opposed to then, which was pretty standard across the board. You get the odd game, because there was quite a few. You get the odd game that wasn't that great, but then some are really fantastic that people still remember. So I don't know. That's how I kind of scale it with the golden age thing and this being the silver age. There's just the disparaging quality now is just too drastic. And also we're only getting 10 episodes a season as opposed to 24. So,
yeah, I mean that's true. Yes, wow, there's 5 TV shows on at one time, but one joint Voyager and DS9 season is more than all those seasons in 1 year, or about the same. So 2 seasons equate to 5 shows and a movie. So there might be more content in the original Golden Age, because quantity. It's like if they released 1 Trek short a month. It wouldn't, you know what I mean? That wouldn't be like, wow, brand new season of Star Trek. No, they just made some short films. Like, it's not, it doesn't mean, wow, there's 6 shows on TV at the same time. No, they made 7 short films, etc. And certainly, when you then compare 22-minute shows as well, Prodigy and Lower Decks aren't even making up, Prodigy. So Lower Decks is 3 seasons. Yes? 4 seasons? 3 seasons? 3.
For what, sorry?
Lower Decks.
3 seasons.
3 seasons, yeah. So 3 seasons, 30 episodes, half that for time. So they're only most way through 1 season of Real Trek.
Yeah.
So 3 years, they're almost finishing 1 full season of Real Star Trek. But we call them 3 seasons.
And Lower Decks is only half an hour each episode.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they haven't even made a full season of TNG after 3.5 years. So wow, we've got 5 TV shows at the same time, but they're not making as much. As many people, as many ways. So there's that to look at as well. Quality, diversifying the platform to smaller things does not mean more content. It actually means less content. It just means more diverse content.
Mm-hmm. And Brickhill says, I don't understand the hate Discovery gets. The writing could be better, but it's still an emotional piece of television.
Can you pinpoint bits of great emotional storytelling? We'd love to know. Because we can counter the thematic things.
Discovery at its best is good sci-fi. it's never good Star Trek. There might be a little bit of a meet up at the good sci-fi and good Star Trek, kind of like maybe a little bit. Visually, it's great. Story-wise, it's good generic sci-fi, I think, at its best. But that's a tough one.
Yeah, just doesn't fit. Ugh.
Yeah.
Bye, Judge. Have a good one.
Yeah, see you later, Judge. Thank you for the super chats. Much appreciated.
I haven't even mentioned Stranger Worlds. The new on the block, the cognitive dissonance show, because of course it's better TV, but it's actively not trying to be the right sort of era, which just confuses my brain. You've got to look everything through a lens of what it's meant to look like TOS, or at least updated TOS.
It's odd because they did what we wanted. They did a return to Star Trek storytelling with the episodic format and good stories, and great characters, honestly. But yeah, they kind of removed the visual aspect and upgraded it, and it's kind of a weird disconnect, honestly. I get it, like a lot of people really like it, and that's their visual style, and that's fine. But yeah, just tell us it's a reboot or something, because it's clearly what it is. It's a reimagined thing. It's not trying to be Prime. But yeah, at least they returned to the good storytelling formats. Episodic feels good for Star Trek. The characters are good. The stories are good. And it's not outstaying its welcome with the storylines like Picard and Discovery are, with dragging it out over a whole season. So yeah, that's kind of my take. I like Strange New Worlds quite a bit. I just think it could have been a wee tad better. But yeah.
Yeah, Prickle. Yeah, first season was terrible. It got a lot better. As soon as Michael Burnham became captain, it got a lot better, because its structure was not. It was it was a wrong kind of format. And it's funny how now, even with like Lower Decks, where they promised us the idea of the Lower Decks, half the episodes of the season start with an actual captain's log from the actual captain.
Yeah.
So even and Dahl for Prodigy, even the shows arguing we aren't the classic know that having a standardized main lead who helps to have expositional dialogue and format the show is such a core part of Star Trek that even though Captain Freeman isn't the lead, her character is still a lead, because it has to be. Structurally, they've learned the mistakes of Discovery. It's not that you can't do it, but it works best that way if you're going to do an ensemble crew feel. You know, it would be pretty impractical to have a genuine Lower Deck show where they're always just in the generic grey rooms doing fixing. That's all Lower Decks is. It's got to have the overall Star Trek-ness, because part of it is the adventure, but you can't do that at Lower Decks, really. Now, Mike's got a great balance, but he's obviously found you can't actually be a Lower Decks show. There's not enough there to do, because they're boring. That's the point.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
And Bricule says, I do get tired of the galaxy-ending conundrum emergency each season. Yeah, me too. Star Trek's about exploring. It's about moral quandaries and, problems that are not easy to solve, but not galaxy-destroying consequences each time. There's sometimes just a small moral, or all moral issues are kind of large in a way, but relevant to two groups of people or a particular planet that there's no real easy answer for. Plus, just the exploration. For me, that's what Star Trek's about, more so than these villain of the week or villain of the season type feels that we get. It's one of the reasons I think that Star Trek works better on television than it does on the big screen. Just to have a big bad that you got to defeat. Sure, that does come up sometimes in Trek, but generally I don't think that's what Trek's about. So, no, Tara, no. Tara's like, can you define real Star Trek? And Dan says, real Star Trek looks like the original canon and looks correct. And she says, so it has to look like TOS. If you're showing that era, yes, it's a period piece. We've said this many times. Each time they've shown it in DS9 and Enterprise and all that, it's always faithfully recreated. Don't visually reboot it and imagine it unless you're going to say it's a Kelvin timeline or something.
And I don't ever say real Star Trek on purpose, but it's like, that Orville isn't real Star Trek. Galaxy Quest isn't real Star Trek, despite both being close. In the same vein, you can watch Discovery Season 1 and say, that doesn't fit. It doesn't feel right. Yeah. Or it feels as they are a pale a pale imagery that doesn't work. It doesn't connect. It doesn't fit in. And yes, you can have the utter darkness, but probably also if you had an Into Mirror Darkly show, you wouldn't call it real Star Trek in the sense of real flow from Gene's original vision, but it'd be real Star Trek that it's the canon of Star Trek, but you wouldn't say this is my real Star Trek. You'd say, well, this is a fun side what if. Yeah. I think people would be happy to agree to that. So it's yeah.
The TNG got when it came out. It didn't start off pretty awful. When you didn't have other seasons to compare it to, season 1 was really good for Star Trek fans. We really enjoyed it. Half of them. Yes, at the time it was like, it's not my Kirk, it's not my Spock, I'm not watching it. There was a bunch of that going on. But when you have all the other Trek to stack up to it, then yes, season 1 and 2 don't look as good. But at the time, people were loving that. And even the people that despaired it right away, saying it's not Kirk and Spock, how is it Star Trek, very quickly kind of came around because they realized it was something different.
It's also hate for TNG because it wasn't Kirk and Spock. It's not hate at TNG. It's hate at not being TOS. That's not the same thing. We don't hate Discovery because it's not TOS. Whatever, like there's a different sort of hate. Yes, I wasn't there, etc. But it was if you watch it, actually watch first season, it's okay. It's got a couple of good, a lot of okay, and only a couple of bad. It's not good for TNG, but the bar's so high. And we did a very full review series, so we really know, it's not what people say, etc. If you really actually 2 hours review, etc. I don't know how many people watched TNG at the time and actually thought it was terrible. They
didn't. I remember watching it the first time, and I was like, these are great. These are awesome. I remember the lead up to it and a lot of the Starlog magazines. This isn't Kirk and Spock. I'm not going to watch it. This is stupid. Look at that stupid Enterprise. And then the show came out, and all those voices kind of quieted down. There's still a few, but it's one of those things.
Because each show gets negativity based on a few people making a noise.
Yeah.
But for the most part, those aren't retrospective, and it's a fair critique for like DS9 when it came out. It's not on a ship, because to understand a exploration show that exploring is a fair critique until you watch the show. That's fair. There is no fair critique of Voyager going in. The woman one is not a fair critique, so it's not included. There's no Voyager is just a show. When it goes in, Discovery, the Klingons are a fair critique, etc. And just the tone is a fair critique. Strange Worlds, fair critique doesn't look right in canon-wise. Picard, not really a fair critique. There's not really anything going to that that's fair. Prodigy, it's a kids' show, but that's again a critique without seeing it. And Lower Decks, you could argue it's too Rick and Morty, but again, you haven't seen it yet. But when you see the thing, that's why you can't judge until you see it, etc. That's why when we really, really see these things, we do full reviews and breakdowns and theorizations, etc.
Yeah. And Sean O'Sullivan throws in €2.
Thank you.
Disco needs more crying Klingons and detached nacelles. Sure, I'm going to have a drink for that.
And we both know we have no problem with detached nacelles, and I have no problem with the crying, personally. I never saw it as an issue.
Yeah. And Olivia throws in $5.
Oh.
Hashtag justice for the ring ship and Sam drinks.
Okay. Where's my cider? Okay. Yes, I've got my strawberry and lime, but I'll do a more radical drink after this one.
Yeah. And Tara's like, I love TNG, but the first season was weak. At least the first 5 or 6 episodes.
So that's a fair comment, though. Weak is not bad.
Exactly.
There's a difference.
You got to keep in mind those scripts for the first. For the first couple episodes, definitely were actually recycled scripts from Star Trek Phase 2. So they were supposed to focus on Kirk and Spock and crew, and their lines got shuffled to other characters in TNG and got rejiggered for TNG. It didn't quite find its footing. There were even a few Phase 2 scripts used in Season 2 as well, and you can tell which ones are the Phase 2 scripts that were originally written for TOS. But, yeah, it's
certainly weak, but it's not bad.
Exactly.
It's sort of below average, but I mean, it's a lot, because the characters are so strong, and the art design is so strong, the music's a bit weird, and the VFX are strong for the time, relatively speaking. I just think you shouldn't add on the wow, it's a black captain people, and wow, it's a woman people, and wow, it's a like those things are so few people to the point of if you could somehow track accounts on say Twitter, you'd find I would think a couple of dozen out of hundreds of millions of Star Trek fans, out of hundreds of thousands of people social mediaing, but they always find the couple and share that. If it's like, but if you share the worst thing you see that almost no one says, I could find the worst things about Trekyards saying we're who the hell knows what, and it's like that's not a news story. That's one person saying it, maybe two, but look how many hundreds of nice comments. Like those are not fair things to judge it on, or the audience. Yeah. Most people who don't like Discovery is because of the storytelling and the tone and the art design. Mm-hmm. But of course they're going to throw out the racist. It's like, well, didn't even cross my mind. Exactly. It's such a lazy thing to say to us.
E.R. Mixon's Craziest Theory says it pretty good here. Disco does a lot of things right in all of its seasons, and each season has loads of good episodes. We agree. That's why we look through the good and the bad of every episode. That's why we do breakdowns. Each scene has good and bad in it. And it goes on to say, it's just that the more linked storytelling ties the bad idea pretty tightly into the storytelling. Yeah, if you got one idea and you're stretching it over the course of a season, you can only do so much with it before it gets old, and they don't tend to add other story elements in. Like that last season of Discovery it was just, some episodes were just so dull. They needed something else going on to kind of jazz it up a bit. And that's one of the things that TNG and other ones did really well. They had the A, B, and C story sometimes in one episode. So it jumped around, and you had something that interests you. And Olivia throws in $5. I have never said this before. Hashtag Sam Drinks.
No, I haven't. I can't find bottle opener, so I have to get upstairs in it.
Uh-oh.
Just more vodka. Yes. But Tara's more comments, Stuart. What a back and forth.
So guys, you have excuses for TNG, but you don't allow much leeway for New Trek with whatever. We allow a lot of limitations for New Trek. As I said, when we do our breakdowns, we point out the good and bad, and we've said that all along. There's good and bad in all Star Trek, even TOS, even TNG. That's why we do the breakdowns, scene by scene, so we can analyze what works and what doesn't.
But you've also got to remember that TNG, there was only TNG and TOS. There is now hundreds of episodes where things have been done right, wrong, and in between. It's a lot harder to say any new modern show first season be as bad as it was. How has that been achieved? With this much writing ability in the world, this many visual effects ability, this many treks to base on, and yet you made that? TNG didn't have that. It was entirely fresh ground. The fact that it was as connected as it was to Star Trek is a miracle. It could have been a soft reboot, and it really wasn't. So, of course, they're going to have different levels of excuses because one has nothing to hide except 3 movies and 3 seasons, one animated. One has 1,000 episodes, 12 movies, and 2 reboot attempts. Of course, they should know better, That's why to people like Prodigy, who throw in these canon things, well, they know better. They've learned from the universe. They're using it. That's the thing.
And Tara says, most people who don't like Discovery say she cries too much and it's too woke, which is ridiculous. Okay.
Not most.
That comment just fucking made me get really angry because I hate the term woke. I think it's a fucking stupid word and it's overused. It's called progressiveness. It's always been in Star Trek. And people that complain about it are small-minded little... I'm angry because of that one comment. I hate the word woke, so don't ever think that we say things are woke, because we definitely don't.
I even said the word.
I know. I think it's ridiculous. And the fact that that's become a thing now, woke, it fucking just drives me fucking insane. It gets to my core.
I don't care about that stuff. I'm here for the Star Trek, and the canon, and the storytelling, and the good camera angles, and the good directing, and the good story.
And the ships.
Yeah, I don't care about any of that political stuff. Make it subtle or not subtle. But that's not what I watch it, so I know you're not saying we're doing that, but best thing, political side of the internet's got a lot louder, and we've remained exactly where we were. Look at the production design and the story and the scripts. We can take we have to take a Discovery episode or a TNG episode and break down the script and call out the problems or good things. That's not thing to do with anything else. And I don't care about the crying. I thought I didn't even notice. I know people don't. I don't get it. If she's allowed to cry, if that's her character, if she's emotional, that's fine. If she's living in the world of the world of...
She was raised by Vulcans, so she's letting it all out. She
Well,
couldn't do it on...
and that's the sad thing. There's such an arc you'd have given her if it had one showrunner from the start. And Michelle Paris did a phenomenal job coming in and entirely... we said Discovery. It's had 3 entire reboots. But the third time they got it right, and season 3 is great. Season 4 is probably worse, I think a lot worse than season 3. I think season 2 is great. A lot of good stuff in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But season 1 is very, very bad in comparison.
Yeah. And Tara, I didn't think that you were calling me. Well, we hear it so often, and because we say that we enjoyed 1 or 2 aspects of Discovery in one of our reviews, somebody goes spewing that around the internet. Trekyards is they love all the new Trek and the and it just sorry, it just we hear it so often, it just sometimes gets to me. So
yes, it's weird because we don't add that political slant to anything we do. So it's weird to have that stuff taken to us. And we're actively, in both of us, independently, we're biased in the sense we like what we like, but we'll review fairly everything. And
I'm willing to admit that I've made a mistake, or I think something, I'll change my mind. I'm very open-minded. I'll change my mind on something if Sam can convince me of it, or
and vice
whatever,
versa,
right?
Yeah, vice versa. It's all about the show at the time we watch it, and that's why. And on top of that, like when we do our reviews, 9 times out of 10, I've watched it and I try to stay off the internet. More for Discovery when people talked about it more because it was all more new. And you watch it instantly review. So we both have 0 outer thoughts coming in. There's no political stuff. There's no one's opinions. It's entirely our own thing. So we have the most unbiased kind of reviews. There's no like jump social media and talk about it. So if this is our actual review, etc. Yeah. It's so strange.
Sometimes
people shouldn't project lenses that we don't have.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't.
But the haters just lump us into a group and say, "Oh, they're shills," and then the shills say that we're haters, and it's like we're one of the ones that are fair, so we call it the good and bad. So we get kind of shit from both camps. People won't watch us because they think we're shills and we only love the new Trek, or people won't watch us because they think we hate everything, and it's like that's not the case.
And it's like with Prodigy, right? We were glowing for part 1. We've not been glowing for part 2. Well, so are we shilling or are we negative? Neither. We're reviewing what's come to us. Like that's the point.
We get comments on the same video saying they're shills and they're haters. It's like, wow, make up your minds, guys.
Because it's not.
You hear it. They hear what they want to hear and they lock onto it.
Yeah, everything we say goes into your brain through your lens. Never assume we had a political slant unless we actively say. And I don't care about that stuff, so I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
Unless that one time I said Discovery had or Strange Worlds, I said, that's a bit weird. Everyone's a woman on the bridge except Pike and Spock. That's a bit weird. Moving on.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's just a bit weird to see. Because even what's the chance of 8 bridge officers being all women? Okay, moving on. Good luck to them. Like that's the end of it. It's an interesting note,
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, good discussion. We love these sorts of debates because we are not an echo chamber. Like I've said before, tell us what you love about Discovery and we'll debate it because good points are good points. If you say the music, we'll say, music's pretty good. Not going to fight. If they say the quality of the makeup, yeah, great. If you say visual effects, for the most part, creature design, creature animation, phenomenal. Planets, great. Planets do a very good job. Green screen, great green screen. It's not, throw out some good stuff. We'll probably agree with you unless it's like, Burnham's a great character. And we'll say, well, to find great character.
She's had her moments.
Yeah.
But she's not, the writers just aren't good on that show, unfortunately.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
44 people watching, 27 likes, guys. Hit that like button. Let's try to get those likes up to at least 50 if possible. Keep the super chats coming. We need to drink more. This is the way. I have more beer now.
Just briefly send something via email. Just give me 1 second.
Oh, yeah, I got to read the poll, too. I haven't read the poll. What is the poll saying? Go vote on the poll, guys. The poll is, are we in the golden age of Trek, the best age? Yes, we're in the golden age, or no, we're not. That was classic Trek. And by classic Trek, we mean everything from TOS to Nemesis, essentially. Well, Enterprise. I think
they're on the same time.
Yeah. Were they? Okay. Yeah. There you go. Oh my goodness. All right. thought season 3 was pretty great on Discovery, both for representation, feeling like Star Trek, and storytelling. 1, 2, and 4, much less in my opinion. See, I enjoyed two the most.
There's so many plot holes in 2 though, piss me off because you write in plot holes. If you don't remove them in the script stage, you write them in.
Not only plot holes, but just interesting story elements just went nowhere.
Did you know, Stuart, that you can build a time traveling suit that's impenetrable to any damage within an hour from 22nd century?
I have a pen. I can do that. A pen and a tin can.
Ah, yes.
I just need a crystal now, right?
It's just a silly idea. Silly idea.
Yeah. Enterprise is in the weird middle point, but yeah, I would classify it as classic Trek as well. Yeah, it is. And at the time, I wasn't the biggest fan of Enterprise. I actually tuned out in like season 3, came back for season 4, and but there's reasons for that. And looking back on that and comparing Enterprise now to some of the new stuff like Picard and Discovery, writing wise, Enterprise was fucking phenomenal, especially season 3. It's actually a very well done season. That's the way to do a serialized season-wide arc and do it well. Eric Martin throws in $50. We gotta keep working, but shots for both of you. All right, Peach Crown Royal it is. If I run out, Eric, you need to come save me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
More vodka then. Okay.
Enjoy your work, Eric, but see.
Dear me.
All right. So, thanks, Eric.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, Stuart. The main reason Discovery is so flawed is because it had a vision before it was being produced. That vision man was then fired, and the production team then rebelled against his vision, but all of the visuals were locked. So all the stuff that they knew wasn't going to work, they were locked with. They then had scripts they had to write on the fly, invent twists on the fly, and they couldn't make anything pay off in any way. And also they shifted the season. They shifted it so bad they had to get Netflix to pay for 3 more episodes just to try and save the season, and they did not. Then the 3 people left in charge from Brian Fuller, who are known to be lackeys of him, really like true believers, which he was fired for a reason, then made the first 3 episodes of season 2, to which they were all fired after overspending the budget. That's why the first 2 look amazing. And then they had to get for more money from Netflix to finish the season, with new people coming in, somebody in the middle to try and salvage it, and then someone right at the end to do the last 2, who's now the new showrunner. So that vision is entirely broken as well, because it was set up in one way, pay off in another, and they had to film on Thursday, so they wrote the script on Tuesday. And that's the problem with season 1. Season 3 is the first true season, and it's pretty good. That's the point. Like that, we're not complaining. It's not. A lot of it is purely because they were given the worst hand ever, and I'm sorry for the actors because they know. Yeah. They know. You know that if you're on set for 6 days a week and have one line an episode, you know there's a problem here. You know what I mean.
It's the same thing that happened with the Star Wars sequels. There's no cohesive plan from beginning to end of that trilogy, which is blatantly obvious. You got someone like Rian Johnson coming in who wants to do his own thing, screws everything up that JJ set up, and JJ's got to come in and kind of save the day last minute and try to include everything in like one. It didn't work. So yes, the change of direction constantly, like you see the showrunners and it's juggling around,
and you can absolutely feel it in the twists and turns.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no actual complaint on Discovery. That is entirely, oh no, what happened? And then Picard was similar, and now it's settled down for season 3, and Super Bowl were great. Strange New Worlds, pure vision from the start. It feels it. Its vision might not be perfect, but it feels like a full vision, and that makes such a difference.
Yep.
To the just knowing they've decided to go for a shitty Gorn at least helps me appreciate it. Like there's a reason for it. It might be shitty, but there's a reason, and we'll see. Yeah. So, yeah. I just feel sorry for them, honestly.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. Mark Lawrence, $5. It helps to get to know the characters before you start putting them in season-long arcs. # justice for a ring ship. That's a drink. Thank you, Mark. short Treks clip, so it doesn't connect with anything yet. Yeah, that's one of the best pieces of Discovery media there is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's hilarious. And as
we're not going to get into that discussion.
Well, I'll briefly say it's just hilarious that Michelle Paradise said, "Who knows?" Because that's an entirely coincidence. That's the joke. They had not decided on doing the season jump, so that was just let's put so far away it won't affect anything. Oh fuck, we've actually got there. Oh, literally entirely different ideas. And so Michelle Paradise was like, well, we haven't said when they went to the future from, so they're probably in the future from us. We might get there eventually. Literally, she just doesn't want to deal with it because it's not her story. She has nothing to go there, and that's great. It's funny. Like it's again shows the entirely disconnected universe of Discovery. It's really interesting.
Want to know what else is interesting?
Oh,
an ad. There you go. You had an ad.
But Tara's final comment though, Stuart, before she leaves.
Unfortunately, I have to run. I am just so happy we have so much Trek plus YouTube shows and podcasts to discuss it all.
Yes.
This may not be the golden age, but I was not aware silver or bronze were even options.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And every season's for the most part is getting better and better. Like they're all improving. We've got through that giant hump.
Discovery did the improvement in season 2 and 3.
Pandemic.
Fell a little flat in season 4.
Picard also pandemicked. Like that's fair. I'm gonna give him that. Not every show you can tell pandemic, but that one you certainly can feel for both seasons.
Yeah. Jasper Jedi, $10. Thank you so much. I think we're in a silver age of Trek. I agree with you. Some great stuff, some not so great stuff, even within series. Glad for what we have, but a lot of it is just built off classic Trek and not all as well. Yeah, that's my summation right there.
And reads our second last comment.
Also, I had zero knowledge of all the Discovery behind-the-scenes drama. I just watched the show and enjoyed a lot of it, but I do agree the first 2 seasons were strange.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We analyze everything when we watch it.
At the time as well. We were there knowing this behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just to be a casual viewer, I can see why people really enjoy Discovery. Yeah. I really can.
Yeah.
But when you actually want to get into the mythos and Star Trek and actually start looking at things, it starts to fall a little flat, unfortunately.
Especially as we knew before the show aired, people behind the scenes who were saying this is going terribly. I hate the Klingons. I was like, people working on this is bad. I don't like any of this. Like a guy left Discovery because he couldn't work on it because it was too not canon. The costume designer said...
Sounds like something Rob Bonchoon would have done.
Well, yeah. Someone else, the makeup chap said, they aren't going to like these Klingons, right? And then retconned after saying, yes, I totally intend to put hair later. No, you didn't. You wrote interviews saying that Brian wanted it, so I did it.
Yeah.
And then never used those ideas again because they were bad, etc.
And season 3, they cut their hair during wartime. They shaved their heads during wartime.
Yeah.
Or was that season 2?
Season 2. Yeah. It's a miracle got made. It's a miracle got made. I mean, and then we said if Discovery started with season 3, it would have been really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. That would have been an entirely different universe of the world. Just and also with the idea she became captain in the season, that would have been a really nice payoff to this random officer who's on the bridge, science officer, going to the future, captain gets killed or whatever, becomes captain at the end to save the crew. Awesome. Yeah. That would have been a really good season.
Jasper Jedi throws in $5. To Tara's parting comment, I would say, in terms of internet community, we may be in a golden age, if only a silver age of actual official media tracking. That I like. I like that a lot, yes. Space Thing, the Reckoning, $5. Definitely not a golden age, but not a dark age either. It's fair to call it a gilded age. Live stuff looks great with bad writing. Animated is great. Live stuff looks great, but with bad writing. Yes, animated is just great. Yeah. Again, perfect sentiments. Those last 2 super chats. Actually, the last 3 were really spot on. So
it's just such a weird one, but and also we have actually been there, truly reviewing it every step of the way. Most of the YouTubers came out way after us. So we actually were there, episode 1 Discovery. You and me started this whole thing. So
we created Trekyards before New Trek was even on the horizon.
Long time. It's just so fascinating, you know. Might not be huge, but with such a unique perspective, and it's so fascinating to go back and watch. Might be worth, like, when I come to yours sometime, just do like a live rewatch of our reviews of Discovery season 1.
Yeah.
Because now we cannot think that way anymore. Like, in the vacuum void, because now anyone ever doing a live podcast reviewing, say, TNG would have all the rest of it to compare to. Only in that 1 week could anybody ever review that episode unbiasedly with pure raw context.
Yeah,
that's
which is why
special.
Which is why I'm glad I did my Captain's Log on the Discovery trailer when it came out, because I recently watched, a few months ago, rewatched that, and I was like, oh my god, I was so hopeful.
Yep. We were delusionally hopeful, but we had to be. We want to be.
As we always say, cautiously optimistic.
God, yeah.
That should be a shirt.
Well,
Trekyards, cautiously optimistic.
Well, it's like when we reviewed the ship, and it's like every thread. I pulled every single thing out. Say this one bulkhead links to this, and it was just designed by the guys that made the trailer for the trailer with no intention of being real, and they just kit bashed and put like that's amazing. But we were like, yes, this bit links the refit. It might be a refit. We tried hard on that one. Goodness.
Sergeant Roadkill, 5 pounds.
Thank you.
What episode of New Trek drove you to drink the most? What episode of New Trek? Oh, that would either be a Picard or a Discovery one. That's hard to say. I don't remember any of Picard because it's all one story. I don't know what happens per episode.
Honestly, Discovery episode 1, season 1, I'll still remember the feeling as they zoom out to Kuvma's face of his eye. I'm like, oh god, everything about this is wrong. Like, not even trying to be good. Like, you know, they're people saying, no, it's not Kahless, it's Kahless. Like, even though 30 years of people said Kahless, they're all wrong. Despite all being Klingon to that, no, it's Kahless. And then you see Mary Schieffer saying, no, but a Klingon professional said it's Kahless. Then why is everybody, including the man himself, the clone of Kahless, called himself Kahless? If he calls himself Kahless, you're not Kahless. Shut the fuck up. Tell them to say it right. They are not correct. Once they say it one way for 3 decades, and the guy, I think every Klingon on Kronos says it correct. You here are not saying it correct. So that, you know, once that sort of stuff comes in, it's like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Like, that pisses me off. I know it's a brilliant Sam joke from 5 years now, Kahless. Yeah. And I've made Shazad say it live with me.
The universal translator just learned to change it to Kahless, so it's not offensive.
Ugh, it's just like something as that. Hey, Matt! Good to see you.
Jasper.
Oh.
Picard. Yeah, that was a rough one. Am I not sufficiently sinister? It's like, shut the fuck up. Yeah. There were some rough moments for sure. Episode-wise, though, it's hard to pin one down.
And honestly, that was sad.
I think there were probably...
Sorry.
I was going to say, I think there were probably episodes of Picard season 2 that I absolutely despised. So...
Well, that definitely was a sad one because 7 had just come back, and that, if it had been the original writing team from, like, the 90s, bringing 7 back would have been amazing. Oh.
Yeah.
She killed Ichab in cold blood, and sort of kills and murders another lady.
Well, she didn't kill Ichab.
Well, she shot him in the chest, point blank. So.
Well, yeah, but that's.
I know, but the writers could think of a better way of saving his life than having her kill him.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, what's your first episode? Let us know. I'm starting to feel my alcohol, which is bad because it's pretty early, and
I'm excited for Nick though because he'll get to see us tipsy. I'm just gonna get my bottle of us. One more second.
You go do that. I guess that leaves me with you guys, and that's awesome. So yeah, this should be a pretty. I've already been thoroughly pissed off. Like that one comment by Tara with the woke thing. I know she wasn't calling us woke, but it just. That word sets me off, and that one definitely did it. I felt it in my core. Like, my body just... I was vibrating with anger at that point. Um,
I have
Nick
returned.
Weeg, member for 24 months at the rank of Commander. Thank you so much for your 2 years of service, Commander.
Yes.
Second half of Picard season 2 broke me. Strange New World saved me. Yeah. I feel that. Damn.
Oh, the emotions.
But I still get PTSD from watching shows. I get the Picard PTSD of how long are they going to take to solve this fucking problem? It should take literally 5 minutes if human beings acted logically. Let's drag it over 3 or 4 episodes. No, don't do that. So yeah, I feel yeah. Oh wow, I'm really feeling my alcohol, Sam.
Do you say "oh you fuck"? Are you telling us something here?
I said oh fuck. I didn't say you fuck.
Well, no, I just said oh, no. I thought you said "oh I fuck." I was like, don't you brag.
I do absolutely.
Okay.
You're not later tonight if I'm not like passed out on the floor.
You will be. Just gonna assume that's. Oh yeah, bottom. Well, okay. Which episode of Discovery, 1 to 4, made you happy? Like, legit happy. Even if it's not what you thought at the time, thinking back now, what episode? We don't have to necessarily look. Like, there must be something that like grabs like actually that. I think back with real fond memories about that episode. Any criterion, up to you.
If I know, man.
It shouldn't be a hard question, Stuart.
It shouldn't be a hard question, but it is. I don't know. I mean, I really enjoyed a lot of things about season 1 of Discovery on a rewatch. Especially the characters Stamets and Tilly. Those two, I really like them. They changed a lot over 4 seasons. Too much.
Because Tilly had Asperger's in the first 3. And they didn't anymore.
Hold on. I think I misheard you, but you said Tilly made you spurge in the first...
No, Tilly had Asperger's. Or autism in the first couple. Then she lost it all of a sudden. And she became just her.
Yeah.
When the first showrunner stories left, then it was nope, we're not going to give her that. We're going to do something else. As someone who has Asperger's, I could see it in her, and her acting was pretty good. She doesn't have that by the end.
Yeah. Yeah, she did make me spooge. I mean, what?
Sorry, what are you saying?
That was too much. No, I don't know. I didn't. What did I say? I don't know. Okay.
See, I instantly season 1. I did like the time loop. It was good. Stamets being friendly was great. It was so out of character. That was good. The Andorian helmet was fun. The Gormagander. I've used Gormagander. I've used Gormagander a couple of times. It's a great word. I always love to say it in my cast because they're like, "How do you say this word?" And I'm like, "Gormagander, duh." And they're like, "Okay, cool." So that one's fun, even though it involves masses and masses of murder. It's fun.
All right, the one that makes me actually happy. I'm just taking a quick look at the episode titles. Magic to make the Saneth Man go mad, where Harry Mudd is using the time device and killing Lorca like 56 times. Love it. I love Lorca. So, but that's a fun episode. That one made me kind of feel good.
So you loved Lorca enough that you enjoyed seeing him be in the scenes. I hate him enough to enjoy seeing him get killed in the scenes.
I didn't like him getting killed. I like this payback of it. But it's a good episode. I think it's
it's the best of season 1. It's not even in question. It's the best one. Yeah. I also really, really enjoyed because every time they do anything old Trek, it's a risk because they just don't do it very well in general. But Guardian Forever, good design. Carl, I like Carl. He was fun. I like we guessed early. I remember that was really satisfying. The moment the music sways, the door shatters, it comes back in the Guardian. Really nice moment. And then to go all balls out into an entirely alternate universe, mirror universe story was great. I know you hated seeing alternate Burnham. I liked alternate Burnham, Captain Killy. Like that was really. I like that sort of story. I thought they did a really good job. But as I still remember thinking at the end, Lorca should have been the guy at the end, in that big reveal rather than man who was trader. Like no, that was like pay the money to get Lorca back because thematically you needed that as a set piece. There was a thing you needed. They just dropped the ball in the last like 5 minutes. I mean, whatever, out of money, fine. But that's a really solid episode. They really did a good job and let Michelle Yeoh act like act, not just sneer and get the colours of banisters wrong because she can't see red from orange. Strange World Bridge. Ooh, look at all that orange. No, Georgia, it's red. Those are distinctly different colours. That's because they didn't change the script, despite not painting it differently. It's like, change the
people
script
from the Mirror Universe have light-sensitive eyes.
Which will never show again.
Scene. Yeah.
Actually, that was never shown again, was it? Actually.
No, it's the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
And the annoyance is now it's canon that it now actively changes everything in all the other shows. Now you're left thinking, in that one episode of DS9, why aren't they squinting? But it wasn't. But they didn't use it as a plot thing after that. So like they had no appreciation of that. When you change something, it changes something. That's a franchise-wide change. But they didn't appreciate that, you know. It's tricky. They didn't get what they were doing.
Yeah.
Versus Doctor Who, where Chibnall did know what he was doing to make Timeless Child. He was actively shitting on the bed to piss people off to leave a mark.
That's more egregious, though.
It is, but it was intentional at least.
Yeah, ignorance is at least an excuse.
Yes. Yep.
But
and it's similar in a similar vein, because it's amazing we had 3 of these in the same 10 years. Last Jedi, Doctor Who, Crystal specifically, and Star Trek Discovery. We've had 3 very close parallels of what the fuck had happened. Radically similar. And Last Jedi, he again was intentional. His famous interview piece was, I don't want the audience to enjoy what I'm doing. I want 50-50. I want 50% of the audience to love my work, 50% to hate it. If they're not hating it and loving it, equal measure, I've done my job wrong. Versus J.J. Abrams, or someone who made Spider-Man Far From Home, 90% of people love it, 10% of people like it. You can make a universally appealing film, so do it. Just make a good film. Why are you, you know what I mean? Yeah. Why are you limiting yourself by saying 50 must hate it? That's not a good plan. Alienating half your audience is not a good plan, because if they don't come the next time. Imagine 50% of people didn't come to the 3rd film in your trilogy. You've just lost hundreds of millions of dollars. You haven't gained half an audience. You've lost half an audience. Where's the logic there? I don't get it.
Yep.
Yes.
Don't fuck with the fans. Speaking of, go vote in our poll, guys.
Yes.
We got a poll there. You guys got 86 votes, which is pretty good, actually, considering we only have 47 people here, and have been kind of steady through the whole time. So people have tuned in and tuned out. There is the semi-final for the World Cup on right now, which I know a lot of people want to watch. So it's kind of a bad time for us to go live, but hey, whatever. 49 people here. Still awesome. 46 likes. Hit that like button. Let's get up to at least 50. 4 more likes. Very easy. I was going to make the goal of 60, but you know what? I'm just going to say 50 because I'm feeling generous.
Ooh.
But go vote on the poll.
Well, that's very nice of you, Stuart.
I try. I try to be nice sometimes, as you know.
Yeah. What?
I'm just going to say, keep super chatting.
Yes.
And I'm already feeling my alcohol, which is not a good sign. I've only been here for 58 minutes. Usually I'm not feeling my alcohol by 58 minutes.
Make him drink.
I only had a bagel today. That's why, I think.
It's one of those days, is it, Stuart?
It is, and I didn't even want to eat the damn bagel. But I'm like, I should eat something. So I grabbed the bagel, started toasting it, some cream cheese on it, and some bacon. And then it's like, this should be enough. Stupid me. Stupid me. At least I ate something. I usually haven't eaten by this time of the day, so... Yay!
Yay, Stuart. No, it's... Imagine, though, if we had gone back to 1999 and said to anybody, in 25 years, there will be one Star Trek on Season 5, there'll be another on Season 3, another on Season 4, another on Season 1 still. That'll confuse them, but it's fine. And another one that's rapid, that would be so impressive to people. And there are toys still. I mean, there are, but only for the old stuff, really. There's very few for the new stuff. That's just what people want to buy. A couple of games, but obviously games are harder to make. It took less time to make an old game than it does now. Yes, the hardware was simpler, but the requirements were simpler. It takes 2 to 3 years to make a good game now, a proper game.
Yeah.
That's why mobile games are cheap, because the assets are relatively straightforward, and also there's a lot of, repeating things or a card deck. But, and yes, it's 89 art pieces, but that's, you give it to a few guys.
80% of mobile games are shit, so...
Well, yeah. I mean, don't expect too much.
Very few good mobile games.
But I will say, and in fact, have you seen this trailer? I think the DS9 trailer for Starfleet Command. I mean, I'll show this without music, because I'm so impressed with this, and this game has just astounded me with what they've been doing.
Which game is this?
Let me find. You can watch it live to see you can enjoy Peel's reaction to it.
I'll watch it delayed because
that's fine.
That's 30 seconds or plus delay on this thing.
Fine. So this, I mean, because this game was the game that was the JJ game that was not great. Yeah, it got lots of ads, talked about a lot, but no one I know liked it, which is a weird dichotomy of okay, and then they when the two different licenses connected, which was the genius of now we can suddenly do all the other universes versus just JJ. They did TOS, TNG, DS9, Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, but they were 2D and not really part of the game too much. And it's amazing because I mean, look at this trailer. And this is for a mobile game. Is this for a mobile game? Oh wait, this is a fan one. Oh yeah, this is Oh, wait, is this?
This is a mobile game, eh?
This is one of them. Yeah, this is the first trailer I didn't actually see. I'll play that one in a minute. And they got George Takei for the TOS one. They got the Discovery crew for lots. They got the TNG crew for lots. I mean, look at this.
Holy shit!
It's fantastic.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And this is a mobile game where this is not at all representative of the gameplay. Where's the other trailer? Because there's another trailer that's more interesting, actually.
Speaking of, did you get that STL file I sent you?
Yeah, what's that about?
My buddy made that. He's making a model kit out of it. So he's going to cut it up. But I thought you might like it or have a use for it, so I had him send it to me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And there's another ad that I don't know why is not on their website, but it's even more ambitious. It's like, this is shockingly ambitious. And as someone does space effects, I know exactly how hard that is. This is their Strange New Worlds one, and I mean, this is close to the space shot, close to show quality. I wouldn't be too far off. I mean, the effort involved in this, you can see they're loving what they're doing. Even if the game is not delivering a game, they're putting all of the stops out for this. Like, they do
I'm still watching an ad before the Strange New Worlds one. Speaking of, I want to pay for your fucking YouTube Premium.
Thank you. Very kind of you. And this is when the TNG crew, which is not quite as good, but they've got better over the time. Yeah, this is significantly worse actually as a trailer. But they've really I mean, it's so impressive. This was much shittier, but that's okay. They don't need to be as good. And this one's really kind of shit in comparison, so they have got a lot better. Is this the same damn trailer?
Where are you getting all these? I haven't seen any of these.
Well, exactly. That's for Star Trek Fleet Command, the mobile game that no one likes, but that has loads of ad revenue. And this is just... they're announcing the new stuff that comes out. And their DS9 pack was the last one. Really good character models, really good lighting. Like, none of this stuff is in the game. As in, like, you can't do epic stuff like this, but yet the team are doing these incredible cinematics are fantastic. Yeah,
they are.
They don't need to be as good. Here's the start of the TOS one, Doomsday Machine, and this was great because they didn't change Enterprise. They didn't visually update it.
I would hope they would use these assets for something else, like a good console or PC game, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
because Cisco and Ducat there, like, wow.
Oh, I mean, Cisco doesn't look like Avery, but looks like a good character model. Ducat's phenomenal. My goodness. So yeah, like, just really, really good stuff. Don't know what the point was I was trying to go with here, but like,
I don't either. I'm a lost cause at this point. I just want to have fun now. So
yeah, just the game is trash, but the team cares so much to make this insanely high level production value for like 6 years down the line, just because they're celebrating DS9. You know what I mean? It's like, basically a paid fan film. You know, that's what it is in essence. Like, we're being paid by CBS or our company to make that.
Yeah,
it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I've been going back and I've actually been playing Timelines again. I love the ship battle. I love the ship battles in that, and I don't know, Fleet Command. I have it on my iPad. throw it on occasionally just to kind of look around.
Yeah.
But it's not. Ugh.
What annoys me about it is that it makes you start with the JJ stuff still, and it's a very slow start. If it was fully featured, I'd much prefer that. Yeah.
And Brickule says my favorite game for Trek at the moment is Bridge Crew on VR. Oh, Brickule, your name is not familiar to me, but I play it quite often on this channel. There's a bunch of Captain Foley plays Bridge Crew, and it's really fun. I got some cool guys I play with, so check it out. Yeah, Bridge Crew's awesome.
Yeah, I'm hoping the next expansion for that game is Voyager, because I'd love to see how they do the character models for...
They don't have the rights to it anymore. The company lost the license.
What, stuff?
So, for Bridge Crew.
No, I know. I mean the other game I was showing you about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because everything they do is great. I'd love to see their Voyager models.
Oh, Nick Cook is here.
There he is! Hi, Nick. Does that mean you're available-ish? Because I actually want you in the video chat, not the actual chat. No offense. Your face is part of the cell, Nick.
Oh, but he's got to put on his face.
Oh.
He's an old man. It takes time to get ready. I'm calling him out.
Oof.
He's got to put on his eyeshadow and, his
there is a Lodex game. It's called Badgie, The Search for Things. It's reasonably fun.
Nick Cook is waving at us.
Ish, yes. Well, let me know. Come in whenever you are available. We've still got a while to go, Nick. You're not Nick. Stuart, there you go.
And I'm filling my alcohol next, so it should be fun. Brickule says, awesome. I'll check those out. I'm still fairly new to the channel. Oh, well, you got a lot to check out then. I've mostly watched ship comparisons.
Yep.
I currently have 0 pals to play with.
Oh.
Well, join us some nights. Some nights we only have 3 people.
Yeah, good to see you. Enjoy our ship content. Go look at the interviews with the guests, because that's what we did for the first 4 years. But once we've done them all, it's kind of hard to then do more of the same stuff, because we did a lot of the good interviews up the front. So check out about the Enterprise Refit, or the Enterprise E, or the Enterprise C, or the Enterprise D, or the Defiant, or the etc.
We got a lot of content. Don't worry, you will not be starved for content on this channel.
Yes.
Weird poll: is TOS the animated series TNG, Voyager, DS9 versus Strange New World, Star Trek Picard, Prodigy, and Lodex? Yes.
I mean,
kind of.
I suppose, but also you couldn't even argue that the latter 4 beat the first 5. I mean, no one in their right mind would say the new 4 are even remotely close. And like I said earlier, all of Lodex is not even 1 season of a normal show. Prodigy is not even half. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, just TNG by itself is better than every single episode of every single new Trek, probably.
And Murlost, the abbreviation for Discovery is DSC.
Or DISCO, if you want to. Or Disco.
Well, the official one is DSC.
Yeah. I know like that, though. I prefer Disco. Because it's fun. And I am fun. Yes, Nick, Skype. Yes.
Yeah, I rarely say STD when people put that in the chat. I always read Discovery because I hate that term.
It's petty.
It's just it's something the Fandom Menace came up with, and it's childish.
Yeah, we have respect for all Trek. I will call out what's bad about it, but not the people behind it or etc. etc. It's a way more. Yeah. That's why I love the fact that we do scene by scene, actually in order. Because we can shift between love the scene, hate the scene, based on the scene. It's so amazingly versatile in that way, the way we do it. Yeah.
And Murlost, you see STD a lot because of the Fandom Menace. They keep pumping that out, and everybody thinks that that's the actual. No, it's not. So. Matt says, raise his hand as someone who used to work on the show at the beginning. It's DSC as the official. You're free to use what you want. People use STD because they want to make fun of the show. Yeah, and because they're childish little pricks.
Stuart, are you ready to add? Captain! Another captain! Captain Daniel Hunter of the Star Trek Tribe.
There's only room enough for one captain on this ship.
Okay, who thinks we should demote Captain Foley then?
No.
Don't play that game, Stuart. You might not win. He's been a captain a lot longer than you have.
Ooh, but I'm a better captain.
Well, he's actually got a ship, Stuart.
I got more screen time.
You can
Fuck
see him.
hey.
You can see him on his ship, Stuart. Like he's got.
Doesn't matter. I invented my own ship, bitch.
Yeah.
We're gonna go at this. We're gonna go at it now. Okay.
Maybe. Dear me.
Good evening.
Oh, volume. Good evening. Right.
It's my competition.
Yes, two
Welcome.
captains. He's competing
Two
now.
captains, one. No, I
No!
can't think of anything smart to say.
Are you one of those captains that you come on the ship and because you got seniority, you're going to take over, or do I?
No,
have
I'm one of those. No. You've got free reign. I'm one of those captains comes on the ship because he likes the I don't know, the coffee out of your replicator. No, the Mountain Dew you have in your replicator.
and the ambience and
the ambience. And obviously, I still love your Maximilian figure. So you know.
Oh, you're scoping that out for when you might
Invade.
come and snag it one day.
Well, I can't possibly comment on that.
Oh yes, Nick, welcome to Drunk Stuart. You never met Drunk Stuart.
I've met Sober Stuart. Is there any difference?
Yes.
Really?
Oh, there's a difference.
Yep.
I'm not a mean drunk. I can say that.
Yes.
But yeah.
Me neither.
Not a band account throws in $2. Why is Janeway an admiral when Michael did more? Are you fucking serious right now?
No, he's not. Clearly not. Clearly not. Clearly not. Clearly not.
I mean, if you include time travel, I mean, Burnham's got seniority, I guess.
Well, and also saving Galaxy means seniority in every situation. Should be C&C by that logic.
Oh,
I am not one of these people that hates Burnham, but
I don't
she's not
either.
Janeway.
yeah. That's,
She's only killed a few people and uncled two Vics.
Well,
that's comparing
exactly.
apples to rocks.
Yes.
Yeah, no comment.
So, Nick, the big question of today's live is, are we in the golden age of Star Trek now? You, of course, have been around Star Trek for slightly longer than I have. And the argument for you beating Stuart in seniority is that you've been active in the fan community longer than Stuart, because while you've been around the same age around, give or take, you've actually been doing things. Stuart's been passively watching. You've actually been living.
Well, I mean, I am older than Stuart, so I think what you're saying is I'm old as dirt here. So,
but you've been in the fandom active longer.
I think we are in a second golden age of Star Trek.
Oh, no one said that yet. That's actually the first time.
But that very much depends on your perspective. And, you know, art is subjective. And there's people out there that hate all the new shows. There's people out there that like some of them. People that say that love all of them. People that love bits of them. And that was very much true during the kind of TNG, DS9, Voyager era as well. I mean, I remember, because I was in a fan club called IDIC back in the early 90s, which was quite a big fanzine type club and had monthly newsletters and stuff. And Roddenberry had been involved with it at some point. He knew Janet Quarton, and I mean one of the founders of that, Q was named for her, Janet Quarton, if I remember rightly. Anyway, I remember very strongly the letters in that newsletter when DS9 aired, when the Emissary aired. People were slating it. Worst pilot ever. Can't understand it. No idea what's going on. It's terrible. I remember watching it thinking, I love this show. This show's great. So, you know, opinions vary across time, and everybody loves DS9 early, and I hope everybody loves DS9 now. Everybody should love DS9 now.
Although you say art is subjective, but
a lot of people haven't seen it, to be fair.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Well, you say art is subjective, but there are all-time film classics because most people agree they're good. Aliens and T2, like there's very little subjective. Like they're, like you know, they're in the middling levels. You can be subjective. There are some that is a classic for a reason.
I still think, for me personally, I still think Emissary is probably the best Trek pilot ever. But a lot of people would not agree with that. You know, a lot of these things are subjective. Now, as you yourself have pointed out in the past, there are some very non-subjective things that say, you know, rules of good storytelling, rules of filmmaking, stuff like that. And I mean, those things are not really up for, well, there's some wiggle room and debate in there.
Yeah.
But people's reaction to storytelling, and even acting for that matter, varies across the board. You know, there are people out there who hate Oscar-winning actors that, you know, we could name. So, oh, they can't act, they're terrible. And other people think, oh, they're amazing. So, you know, the way people interpret art is very different. Anyway, that's completely par for the course. I agree, Brickcube. DS9 is not my favorite, but it is my second favorite. TNG is still my favorite. And actually, to be fair, DS9 is probably the better show, but TNG have a particular emotional resonance for me. So, but that's the thing. It was like you can look at these things objectively and say, well, actually, this is my favorite show. I mean, lots of people love Voyager, and people would argue that Voyager is probably the weakest of the modern shows. I think that's debatable, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. But everybody just has different opinions. So yes, I think we are in a second golden age, but it really depends on whether you are the target audience for that golden age to a large extent. But there's still people who are around in the original, that watched the original series, who hate everything that's come after Turnabout Intruder, or everything that's come after Motion Picture. There are people out there that hate anything past 1969 and are very vocal about it still.
And a side note, because I always
they are all dying off, I'd like to point out, but
a little side note though, because how do you take then perspective of people like Doug Drexler, who literally spearheaded the campaign to get the show back, who you'd think whose opinions has more weight because they literally saved the show, and then had a shop for years, worked on every iteration of Trek, didn't watch Discovery because he saw it being produced, didn't like it, was disrespected by it, didn't watch Picard season 1 because he thought it was bad. Did they not have, if they think it's bad, did they not have a more justified opinion, given they literally saved the show at the start?
I don't disagree with that, but at the same time, it's still an opinion, and what they like and what they don't like. There's lots of people out there that love Star Wars and hate Star Trek. Are they wrong? There's lots of professional filmmakers out there who hate Star Trek. Are they wrong? Are they right?
But certainly we trust experts for a reason. And how much of an expert can you get?
I have a lot of respect for Doug Drexler. He is an incredibly talented and prolific guy, and a very nice guy from what I've seen.
Big hugs.
Big hugs. But at the end of the day, what he likes and what he doesn't like is still a subjective thing, and a lot of that, yes, is going to be based in his experience as a filmmaker and as someone who's been involved in Star Trek. But some of it's not. Some of it's going to be visceral, emotional reactions, and I think even Doug would agree with that. And that's the same. It's like for myself, TNG is still to this day my favorite Star Trek show. And once upon a time, I hated TNG. I was one of those original series fans. You can't do Star Trek without Kirk and Co. TNG is still my favorite. 30 odd years later, TNG is my favorite Star Trek show, and that's after DS9, which I still think is probably the better show. And all the modern shows, I'd still rather, if you give me one to sit down, I'd probably sit and choose to watch TNG. Maybe DS9 a very close second there, though.
Well, it's interesting.
But that's because I have a visceral, emotional reaction to that show and to those characters.
But it's interesting you mentioned TNG, and that came up earlier. Some people saying, or somebody said, well, everyone hated TNG when it came out, and they equated
not everyone, but a lot of people did,
and they equated it because it wasn't Kirk and Spock. And I pointed out, but that's not really a complaint. You're saying if lots of people didn't like TNG because they didn't have Kirk in, they didn't not like TNG. They didn't like the fact they didn't have Kirk in. So that isn't a reason to not like TNG. That's a lot reason.
Of people did. I agree.
Because if you haven't watched the show, you can't have an opinion on it.
Because Kirk and Spock weren't in it. I did give it a chance. That first season's terrible.
Not terrible.
Sorry, but it is.
It's not terrible. It's not good.
If you compare it to the original, and actually watching it as a much older adult, I find a lot more things to enjoy in season 1 than I did when I watched it on first viewing. But subjectively, it's not a great show in the first season, and the only reason it survived because it had the Star Trek name. Season 2 was a big improvement. Season 3 knocked it out of the park, and season 3 is still my all-time favorite Star Trek season.
Yes.
But again, that's a subjective, visceral reaction for me. I think the storytelling in season 3 is amazing. I don't think they've ever, and again, I think DS9 is a different beast because that had that whole arc-based storytelling and ongoing story arcs, which I think was a step up from that. But that third season of TNG is the storytelling for almost for every episode is phenomenally well done. Phenomenally well done. And, Michael Piller deserves a hell of a lot of the credit for that. He transformed that show. Really did.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned season 1 because it'd be hard to compare season 1 Discovery to season 1 of TNG. Infinitely worse than season 1 Discovery. So you say that's a bad season. Discovery's far worse the first season if you compare the two, like for like.
I don't know which I would choose if you had asked me to watch an episode from one of those. I don't know.
I meant as an entirety though.
There's a lot of things in Discovery that I enjoy, and even in that first season that I enjoy. But I mean, I don't think it was intentionally disrespecting what came before, but I think it certainly has a tendency to come across that way. I love the cast. I think the actors are great, and I think there's some good writing going on in there. But I think there certainly was stuff going on behind the scenes that I've
Yeah, we disclaimed all that stuff.
Make it just
poor
kind
them, you know,
a bit all over the place. I think Jason Isaacs was fantastic.
Oh yes.
And
So
you know,
evil.
the Mirror Universe stuff was very much out of left field. I enjoyed it, but it was completely out of left field. I didn't think it made an awful lot of sense.
Although, did you guess Tyler Vogt from early on, like we all did?
Oh God, yeah, it was glaringly obvious.
Good.
I love that I love that they tried to deny it. To be fair, I give them credit for that.
He's not Khan.
Actually, no. Please don't get me started on Khan.
Okay,
I still have an axe to grind about that many years later.
Yeah.
Whitewashing
Sure.
and Cumberbatch is amazing.
Ah,
He's
yes.
a great actor. He's phenomenal, and he was good in the role, but he was the wrong person for that role. Absolutely the wrong person for that role. And why did
Subjectively.
Khan in the first
Subjectively.
place?
Before we move on,
Well, yeah, exactly. And you know what? There's people out there that would disagree with that, who probably loved him in the role. I thought he was good in the role. I just don't think he was the right person for it. But other people do disagree. So, I mean, again, we get into that whole subjective thing. And actually, Nemesis, the worst Star Trek movie? I don't think so.
No,
I
no.
actually... There's a lot about Nemesis I enjoy. It's a flawed movie, but there's a lot in there that I do enjoy. But then I think Star Trek 5 is probably the worst movie. But again, there's a lot in that I enjoy. There's a lot in The Undiscovered Country that I don't like, and a lot of people rate that as their favorite. So, you know, opinions are a dime a dozen.
Hi, Stuart.
You know, like assholes. Everyone's got one, and I am one. But you know, that's all.
Says you.
Mr. Captain, sir, you are taking over for. I got to get to the chat for a second.
Please do.
Come on my
Stop
ship and
me
you take
before I go on.
Jasper Jedi, member for 8 months at the rank
Ooh,
of captain.
Thank you.
Artist subjective,
yes.
but we unobjective measures to measure. It's the weighing of the objective factor that makes it subjective to each person, in my opinion.
Ooh, interesting.
Not a band account, $2, but we can all agree Nemesis was the worst
there you
movie.
go.
No, we
But
cannot.
we don't
we cannot
all
agree.
agree.
But yeah, this,
Insurrection was the worst movie.
oh
People
no!
like hate what they hate.
The sad thing about Nemesis is that everyone agrees the script was freaking amazing. Like the original script, it's much longer, it's way different. Everyone worked on it, so they loved it. But that didn't get made.
You know what, Sam? Give us all the rough footage. I bet there's a great story in there. I would love to see it cut together into the film it could have been.
We'll remove Michael Dorn's voice filter, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Why? I mean, why?
Because the director
Why?
said he's alien, therefore he should have a voice. And it's like, but he hasn't
Well,
for
I
the
mean,
last 20 years. Shut
To be
up!
fair, he thought LeVar Burton was an alien as well, so, you know. I don't think did he not call him something other than LeVar? I don't remember. Anyway. Yeah. You know, it's one of those things that randomly really worked out. They really kind of lucked out and then didn't luck out with the directors because they really scored with Nimoy. Nimoy did a great job as a director, and then they had Shatner, who
He got kind of screwed because of the budget cuts and of the writer's strike.
Yeah.
It certainly didn't help him. It's not a great script, but there is a good story in there. It just doesn't bring it out. So, you know, I think 5 is a bit of a missed opportunity. The cheap effects really, really kill it badly.
I think if that film had twice the budget, it would be remembered as being a really interesting film. Not necessarily a good film, but a really interesting film. Because he would have realised what he tried to do to where he wanted it to be. He got cut down in every single regard.
Oh, yeah.
Production time, effects, practical things, the ending entirely rewritten. Like, so many layers got cut away from his vision. At that point, well, it's barely what you want.
It's funny because it's like Final Frontier and Nemesis were both movies that I was really hyped for going into the cinema. And I mean, coming off Star Trek 4, which was an incredibly popular movie, and it's a great movie. And it's a movie that actually doesn't just non-fans enjoy. You know, the general public went to it and embraced that movie. It's a great movie, and it has an amazing ending. That last scene is such a good ending. It's just so good. And they didn't need to do another movie after that, but they did. So when they came out with Star Trek 5, I remember seeing the trailer and thought, I'm quite excited for this. Then I went to see it at the cinema. It was really quite
But the
disappointing.
Klingons are great. man and woman thing on. Those are fun. Those are good.
They were fun, but I think they could have done so much more with them. Yeah. It's a missed opportunity that could have been so much better. Also, some of the humor, a bit like Insurrection, and I like Insurrection, but it was just the humor was just too silly. It didn't work. It didn't match the tone.
Isn't that what humor's supposed to be?
Yeah, but it was out of place in a lot of places. It wasn't smooth. It wasn't integrated well. And I don't know if that was the writing or the editing or the direction.
They're trying to go for TOS episode feel with Star Trek V, which I think they accomplished with this McCoy, Kirk, and Spock dynamic. Mm-hmm. But throwing in that humor, I think, was trying to go back to some of those TOS episodes that had that.
Third season. It felt like a third season episode to me.
Third season's not as bad as everybody said.
Third season's not as bad. There's some really good episodes in the third season, like Enterprise Incident is great.
That's one of my favorite. That's not my favorite TOS episode. Yeah.
Foley and Webb's actually a pretty good one.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
I mean, there are Day of the Dove. There's some really good episodes in there. There's also some really real clunkers. But the third season.
You can say that about every season of Classic.
You can. I think the third season of TOS is certainly the weakest, though. But again, there's you disagree.
Not a band account though. Throws in $2.
Yeah.
In New Trek, Starfleet doesn't act like professionals.
There's always been an element of that. It's not about acting like professionals. They act like, I don't know.
One of the most magnificent parts of TNG is that there's several scenes in our reviews we've seen where the ship is literally going to explode in under 10 seconds. Everybody is at their consoles, entirely calm, working, hoping, assuming the crew's going to help. Someone's going to solve the problem, and they solve it. That is amazing professionalism. You compare it to the new shows when they'd be running, yelling. They're not being trained. Everyone's at Starfleet Academy in theory doing the same thing, but the fact that you are literally staring death in the face in 5 seconds with that level of calm and precision, that's Starfleet right there. Maybe not for the lowest decks people, that's fine, but bridge crew, amazing. So that's, I think, what he means. I
would agree with that, but I think the way we portray people in these things has evolved over time, rightly or wrongly. And I think that's certainly an approach they're taking, because you see that change across many TV shows, and it's just like, I mean, if you watch something, there's a TV show on when I was growing up called Hill Street Blues, which was a cop show.
I've heard of that.
And funnily enough, I'm a big fan of that, and one of my characters is named for a character in that. But
Which one?
Hunter.
Sorry.
Yeah, the character of Hunter in Hill Street Blues was a massive knob, by the way. So I just like to.
So you named him for Hunter, yeah.
He was Captain Styles in Star Trek 3. James B. Sicking.
The knob carried on.
Anyway, that show really was groundbreaking, and you went from a lot of cop shows at that point. Cops were professionals, and they were very polished, and I mean Starsky and Hutch was a bit different, but it was all very bright. Hill Street Blues really broke that mold, and it was very, very gritty and very realistic. And I think that there's an element of trying to do that with some of the modern shows. I think we're seeing that stepped back a bit, because I certainly think not Lower Decks, Strange New Worlds has gotten away from that a bit. The crew are a family, but they're definitely a more professional family than we've seen in some of the newest, certainly more than.
Yeah,
Discovery seems to focus more on the family and the family dysfunctions in some ways than it does on the work through. But I think they have gotten away from that to an extent as well. Certainly in the last season, I felt as they've progressed through the last couple of seasons, I think they've become more polished in the way they act. But
this is what we said, and we've had this discussion for a bit now. We said that New Trek, it certainly was not a golden age when it started with Picard 1 and Discovery 1 and 2. But now we're 5 years in, and for the most part, they're all improving. It still doesn't help they're rebooting their showrunners. Terry is now in charge, so we'll see if his version of Trek is better. Prodigy doing great things, Lower Deck doing great things, Strange Worlds doing great things. Discovery, pandemic really messed them up story-wise, but I'm not going to blame them for that. Season 5 better. So at least they are at a point where the quality level, the floor of quality has increased. Like, even the worst of a Discovery episode is still okay. It used to be bad. The bottom has got much more solid. The groundwork is there.
I do think that part of what we're seeing is that when Discovery started, it was very much, this is a clean slate. We've got completely new people involved. We're going to start from new. We're not going to be influenced by what's come before. And that's not necessarily an invalid way to approach these things.
But it wasn't their case, unfortunately, the way they did it.
Yeah, but I think as we've seen the years have gone on and they've brought in more people like the Akudas, like Doug Drexler, and then they've brought in more people who are fans like Terry Matalas, Aaron Waltke, these people coming in. They're bringing more influence to that, and they are reshaping it back to that image of what it used to be. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I think depends on your perspective. From my perspective, that's a good thing, because
all the reviews are generally higher.
I like
all the reviews are generally better across the board. I mean, it's clearly working across the board.
From my point of view, I think that's a good thing, because I like what they're doing. Whether does that gel with general public, I don't know. I'm not general public. I'm a fan, so I'm just there to be entertained.
There's the new fans that came in on the new stuff that don't want to change back to what it used to be because they like what they do.
But
the 09 fans.
This is always the problem. You cannot please all the people, and I think the good showrunners are the ones who know where to compromise and where not to. I think the Hageman brothers, isn't have
Hageman
balanced that very very well on Prodigy. I think Lower Decks is doing a fantastic job of balancing. Yes, it's a more comedic take, but it's so entertaining. But I can see how some people don't like Lower Decks because they don't like professional staff at offices. But it's kind of not the point of Lower Decks.
Although it's odd. Sorry. Well, it's odd you say general audience, but I mean, most shows aren't for the general audience. I mean, you don't expect any show to be jumped in by any random person. That's not how most shows work. I mean, Marvel, there's no general audience for Marvel. No one's jumping in Phase 4 at movie 9 with 13 spin-offs. No one's watching Loki as a general audience. So there is none of that, yet they're a multi-billion-dollar franchise. Now, yes, you can have Trek.
You still need to bring new audience in, because if you don't, eventually they all die off. You know, it's like you don't bring new fans in, people die off. So, and I think that's where they're coming from. They're trying to appeal to a wide, broader audience. I don't know how successful that's been, but I think that's why we're seeing the thing. And you see that with the J.J. Abrams movies. They were clearly trying to appeal to a wider audience, which worked on the first movie, and then progressively didn't work. I don't know.
No, that being said, though, a lot of people I know, one of our moderators on the Facebook group, first movie he watched was 2009. He's since gone on to watch all other Trek, but that's still very dear to his heart, 2009, and that Enterprise specifically. But it was the doorway it got him into all the other Trek. So,
and that was the only general audience Trek. And as we saw,
Star Trek 4 was, but I mean that's like decades ago. So
the whale one, as everyone calls it,
the one with the whales.
Which is funny because that was a third. Because that was a third in a trilogy as well. Like it wasn't. It was actually the least.
Well, yeah, third. It was
the least watchable because you had to know, but because the story was so simple, it didn't matter. But then you look at the new audience did not maintain for Beyond and Into Darkness. Like they lost the original audience, they lost the new audience. So because Trek tends to be through our children and through our friends, and so kids are now being brought in, etc. People being brought in that we know, etc. Most people aren't going to jump in. Like if you've never seen Star Trek, you're not going to think I'm going to jump in on the Star Trek bandwagon after 55 years. It's kind of like Andor, the general consensus. Andor, great show. Very few people are watching it because the hardcores aren't that interested. No one random's watching it because why would they watch Andor? It's those of us in the middle, like, well, I'm both, I'm neither. I'll watch it. It's actually a great show. It's weird. But Kenobi was the opposite. Kenobi, everyone watched it. Wasn't a great show. So it.
But I think the people making these things, certainly at the studio head honchos levels, thinking of drawing in new audience. I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. Certainly getting back to the Abrams movies, I like the 2009 movie, but I have a lot of issues with it. Not least the bit cadet to captain in like 5 minutes kind of just still irritates me. And you know what? They could have done such a good job with those movies. That movie should have ended with Kirk graduating and going off to the Farragut, and we join them a few years later for the next movie that maybe brings the crew together, and then the third movie kind of gels them all together. And I don't know why they didn't take that. Why did they have to bring them all together at the end? It made no sense whatsoever. Well, it did, but it didn't.
That's why.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah.
And just briefly, Jasper says, but corporations always want new audiences. You can't succeed with 60-year-old fans alone. I mean, if you have a trilogy of Star Wars films, you aren't appealing to new fans to watch Episode 7. No one new is going to come in at Episode 7. So and that was all that was happening for years, was these films. They are not appealing to audiences. Audiences might come in, but they're actually not appealing actively. But that's not the point. Like, you need all the old fans who then tell new people to then watch.
But the studio bean counters don't think that way.
And they lost out. I mean, they made money and lost the respect. Made Mandalorian, that was for new audiences, freaking to change the entire landscape, right?
Yeah.
You know, like Lower Decks and Prodigy. They're the cleverest. It's super new, yet really canon. That's how you do it, right? It's for it's for everybody. But if you know Trek, because if you don't know, like when George Takei showed up, new fans will not know or care. Some guy who's probably Asian turned up with a horse. Won't mean anything. So that scene wasn't for general audiences, clearly. It was for us.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But the whole episode works with just knowing it was maybe it's a dad. I don't know.
But that's the trick, is finding people that know how to work, how to produce these things and how to write them so that you can appeal to maybe not a broad audience, but a broader audience, but also please the fans. And that is an incredibly difficult balancing act. And I think you've got to be very talented to do that.
And those are people who've come on now as well. The new people, the new
Jasper Jedi jumps in and says, "But Star Trek doesn't have the same size of audience as Star Wars."
That's true. It is true.
I disagree.
Well,
100%. You got a more general film going audience with Star Wars.
Star
Trek
Wars
fans are a little more specific.
Maybe. Star Wars certainly has bigger merchandising.
Well, it started as a movie.
Merchandising.
Star Trek started as a TV show. That's a different fan base. I think there's a wider Star Trek audience than Star Wars.
Can I postulate with Star Wars?
I don't know, actually.
See if you both agree. For me, Star Wars there's lots of truly insanely hardcore, and there's a giant amount of general moviegoer. The middle ground isn't as giant. It's very much general and super niche. Star Trek, there's a lot of niche, a lot of middle, and not a lot of average goers. But we have a lot of middle who love it, who watch it. But we don't
analyze it all.
Yeah, but we don't have a lot of average people. But we have a lot of middle people.
I would agree there's a lot of middle people, but they're people that don't go to conventions, don't buy a lot of merchandise, don't come and watch shows like this or fan films. They just kind of absorb the shows and the movies, and then that's pretty much all they do. I think there's a lot of those out there.
But then there are Star Wars fans who will watch one thing, watch nothing else, who have no brand loyalty except, it's a fun Star Wars film. Star Trek, you tend to watch at least 2 or 3 shows. Star Wars, you're not going to necessarily... Exactly. So again, there are different parallels. You're right. It's not necessarily as big, but they're going to watch more things. Like if you capture the middle Trek audience, you'll have a good viewership forever, right? Star Wars, you can appeal to loads of people and nobody, and they've done both. They've done all that. They've done one of each of those shows.
It's interesting because, I mean, having watched Andor, I really
haven't seen
like
last episode.
One. Okay. I do think that it you know what, it's the first Star Wars I've seen that's made me look at Star Wars in a deeper way, because I've always looked at Star Wars in a fairly and I love Star Wars, but I've never looked at it in a deep way. The way I look at Star Trek.
Not The Last Jedi? They didn't grab you and change your mind state?
Don't
continue.
Shook me and gave me baby.
I don't hate The Last Jedi.
Okay.
Because I'm not that invested as a Star Wars fan. I watched it, I enjoyed it, so I didn't lose any sleep over it. But, I get people's objections to it. I'm kind of like, eh.
And Tara throws in $5 and says, "I'm back."
Hey!
Although, hi Tara. Although I do remember going to see the first Abrams Star Wars movie and going, they just remade Star Wars.
But it was fun.
But they just remade Star Wars. I'm like, why?
But it's like 09. It's just, here's a fun film. Don't think about it.
Yeah.
Don't think about it.
Yeah.
Just don't think about it.
But I did.
But that's the thing. We all got, me and Stuart, we got to enjoy the fact that, we got what 09 did to this Trek audience with Last Jedi. They now felt our pain. Finally.
Yeah.
Exactly. They felt what we felt. Didn't take that long to do it.
Olam Drab, I totally agree. The pointy sideburns for guys never go out of style. Never. Ever.
Yes. Now, Stuart, please bring up to Nick your video game argument. I'd love to hear Nick's side notes on this.
Video game argument? Oh,
So,
God.
Well, we're
about
talking
the golden age.
Yeah. Talking about the golden age of Trek. You had all the shows on. You had a multitude of video games that are fondly remembered. And you also had all the toy merchandising on the shelves. You had the comics.
A lot of them.
And now there's very few Star Trek games. Yeah, we got a lot of shows, but they're only half as long season-wise.
That's an
Because
interesting
think about
point.
it, Lower
And we
Decks.
also don't have toys. We don't have any toys on the shelves.
Because think about
Well, toys are
Lower
starting
Decks.
to come back on the
Oh,
shelves.
brief thing. Lower Decks. Remember, 3 years, less than one
yeah.
season of TNG. It might feel like a lot, but it's less than one season of old Trek.
That's true, actually. That is an
Just
interesting
one point
point.
out.
But there is still a lot of content out there. It's a very good point about the games, though, because I mean, like you, I played a lot of those games, like Elite Force. Loved Elite Force. We used to have LAN parties playing Elite Force. Starfleet Command as well. We did the same thing with Starfleet Command 1 and 2. Not so much Starfleet Command 3, but we did.
No,
I mean, I still played it.
Yeah.
I really need to haul out one of my old computers and reinstall an old version of Windows and install some of those games on it because I really do miss playing Starfleet Command. But then
They're available
I mean,
on good old gaming. You can get them for your modern
yeah,
PC.
but I've got a Mac.
Eh,
I mean,
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
yeah, sorry for your loss.
But I've had far less trouble with my Mac in the last however many years than I ever had with any of my PCs. But that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, I do really miss the games. But I mean, I grew up playing, fastest Star Trek RPG and Starfleet Battles, and Starfleet Battles was a really good education for doing
It was amazing.
Starfleet Command, because Starfleet Command was Starfleet Battles, basically.
Yep.
I mean, even down to the drones and everything. So, and it's funny. It's just recently I was thinking I would love to pull out my old FASA modules and start playing some games again. And I actually wouldn't mind a game of Starfleet Battles.
My brother used to play Starfleet Battles all the time, and we were like, "This would be great if there was a computer game of this." And then Starfleet Command came out, and we were like,
and it was
beautiful.
so good. It's such a good game.
Subjectively,
I
though.
really want to play it again now. Subjectively, yeah, but I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I mean, that and Elite Force. Judgment Rights. Do you remember Judgment Rights? 25th anniversary game. Some of these games were phenomenally good.
So when you take that into account, Nick, how does that affect your Golden Age theory, second Golden Age? Because none of that exists. Not a single thing.
Maybe not actually. It's a different type of Golden Age, I think. I don't know. Actually, that does alter my thinking a bit.
And Stuart is right, because toys were
bring up Samuel's point about Star Trek Online, how a lot of people are playing that.
Yeah,
it's very always expanding. It's got whatever.
That's true.
So,
yeah, more people have played Stowe than.
There's no Mac client anymore for Starfleet
Oh,
Online.
he got discontinued it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Because
if you had merchandise as well, I mean that was dripping in merchandise in the 90s.
Yeah.
And one
that's true.
And one thing I said to Stuart earlier is that if even if you consider them both golden ages, which I think we're obviously debating it now, but in the original one, everything was super cohesive. We had all the same art design, everything felt connected, and so merchandise kind of worked across the board, games across the board.
Yeah.
Patrick appeared in this game, Worf in this one, etc. Now, 5 shows, each with entirely different vibes. Very few of the merchandise, none of it connects, none of it's subtly the same. Eaglemoss was the one unifier, but they were just because they got every license, they just did it for the sake of it. But there are
Please
no...
come back, Eaglemoss.
I know. Like, there are no Picard Season 2 action figures, or Season 1 action figures, despite being out for years now. There's not a single bit of merchandise.
I just got this on eBay the other day.
Oh, yes.
I love that ship.
Yes.
I love that ship as well.
And Nick, I gotta say, another thing I pointed out is the quality. The difference in quality back then was pretty much standard across the board. But I think there's a huge disparity of quality now with writing. Like you look at Prodigy and Lower Decks, which are great. Picard, you're kind of at the lower end of that. It's much more of a gap as far as quality goes between the shows. Not only just the visual cohesiveness, but there seems to be much more of a divide in that regard as well. So
I think that is changing though, because I think there is because you're starting to see communication between the showrunners. I mean, we're in a situation at the moment. We're in the mid 2380s. We've got 3 or 4 different fucking uniform styles going around. It's like, and combat.
And we both uniform. And Nick, we both own them all pretty much.
Well, that's true, but yeah, I've got a Lower Decks one back there as well, but it's not. But part of that's come out of the fact that they weren't really communicating much to begin with, I guess. But now they are, and you see the difference in that communication. So I think these shows are just going to go from strength to strength, to be honest. I think they're on an upward trend, and I didn't hate any of them, and I've never hated any of them at any point. I've enjoyed them to varying degrees, including Discovery. But I think we are going to start to see them doing that. I hope we are. I'm really optimistic about TNG season 8. Sorry, Picard season 3. Yeah,
Freudian slip there, Nick. We'll forgive you.
And I'm always optimistic about Lower Decks because I just love that show. And Prodigy. I mean, I can't wait to Prodigy tomorrow.
Like
Friday.
Every time me and Stuart talk about Prodigy, is the only and of any Trek. This is the rare thing where, because DS9, the Dominion War was invented mid-season. They did not know the end. They did not know any of the big twists. Some, but not all. Like, for the most part, they were going a season at a time with a sense of, oh, cool. Prodigy is the only show where we see a weird plot point in episode 14. We'll say, yeah, that'll be addressed in a later episode. Because it is actually part of a 40-episode arc. It's the only show that's ever had that in the history of Trek, and it feels it. Now, unfortunately, talking to the writers, I personally, that me and Stuart both know them, it is also the shortest relative time to that story. Lower Decks is quite compressed, but they have very clear barriers of that's the amount of depth we're going to have. Prodigy is trying so hard to make deep story, and they keep hitting the wall of time. Not just kid show, but time. I've emailed the writer several times and said, what about this plot point? He's like, just no time. And they've got to drop it. When that is actually just a plot problem. But we know it's not an intentional mess up. It's that we ran out of time. Discovery was a lot of, we just fucked up. We just didn't know the kind of, we just didn't, But Prodigy's a weird show. Like, they're trying so hard, but they're being limited by their own medium. If it was a 40-minute show, my goodness, what they could do with that. Oof. Or even 30 minutes. I would kill for 30 minutes.
I am phenomenally impressed with what Prodigy is doing. And for the show that most people were probably least interested in when they heard it was coming. And it kept a low profile for such a long time. And then all of a sudden it just came bang. And no, they've done a great job with that show. I think they should be very proud of it. And as a fan, I'm like thrilled to
They just won an Emmy for production design.
Oh, and well deserved. Well deserved.
Yeah, that show was flying under the radar. We didn't know what to expect with it. I was like, it's going to be good. It looks great. And I was not disappointed. And the stories are just... The story and the use of visual canon are really on point.
Oh, yeah.
So... Although, you have to admit, Stuart, the last half has been less good. Our scores have been... The worst of the season have happened in the most recent episodes. And we know that just by scoring them. Like, our worst are of the current batch. But that's just because every little reason, like... There's little things.
We also know what
on.
to expect now, so our scoring's kind
of I really liked when they brought a certain character with an eye patch into it. I don't want to give anything away in case people haven't seen it.
And isn't it adorable?
I'm sure they have, but it was great they brought him in it. But then I was really disappointed with the way they.
He'll probably come back.
It's like
he'll probably come back.
Yeah, I hope so, but because that disappointed me a little bit. I was like, no,
disappointed me immensely when that happened. But
okay, it actually was. I was very disappointed. I was like, no, come on! You're kind of redeeming this guy from being like, kind of a like one note rescue.
Look, he's gonna be a DJ in a few years. He's not a coward, okay?
He's a DJ on Lower Decks.
It's a DJing before or after?
After.
Is it after? Right. Okay.
He literally gets invited to the best party. In the quadrant as a DJ. He ain't no coward, guys.
You know, we've really got to do a fan film around that party.
Oh God.
The Dopplers.
There you go, Sam.
Oh yeah, the Dopplers. Trek Short season 6. The
We've
Doppler
got the dress
season.
uniforms.
Yep.
Freeman should have been court-martialed for that.
Punished at least, yeah.
Maybe she was.
Because she probably killed somebody. I'm sorry, but blunt force trauma.
Maybe.
I mean, you don't have that much kinetic force of people being cloned and hit into walls and glass. I mean, people died. Like, how many dinner plates trip and then went to someone's neck, and now they're being squished, and now they're dead? Like, she killed at least a dozen officers and men, other than Cobra.
Well, just turn a blind eye.
I know. It's
you can do a fan film about the aftermath.
It's just dead bodies.
Yeah, just have a dead body with a plate and
either that, or we need to do a Starbase 80 fan film. But you know.
Yes.
Because we have not got enough to do, Nick. We're free time filled. My goodness.
We visit Starbase 80, and it's even worse than we thought.
Ah, yes. But wasn't it great to see the shuttle pod though back?
Oh Yeah.
And if you note, the design actually changed between two of the shots. In the top view, they changed.
Notice.
Go back and watch our episode. It's consistent in one view and then different in the other two because they change the seating as they change the angles. But once you do that, it's a different design. There's only like 4 angles on it physically, so it's and like I think we both like the variant in more, which is weird, but yeah, it's weird. But Stuart, I would like to hear a super chat goal and drinking goal because I've still got full drinks here, guys. My goodness.
Yeah. Super chat.
I know. Sam throws all his bottles outside in the freezing cold temperatures.
Oh, I've still got some. Oh, I should probably go get one actually. I got some cans. We're gonna get some. Okay, back
they
in
are
a minute.
frozen by now, mate.
Yeah,
frozen. They're solid. They are bricks.
Guys, hit like if you haven't. Yeah, and super chat in. I'm still feeling buzzed for sure, but it's starting to wear off. So I got alcohol. Let's go. Anyway, thank you, Nick, for joining us. I'm sure you're going to stick around for a little bit at least.
I'll stick around for a little bit.
It was nice to have your perspective.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, well, my perspective, I'm not sure gels with everybody's, but that's not a bad thing.
Well, you're older.
Fan films are great. You should totally get into fan films. I am older. How
old are you?
I'm 52.
Okay, so you are like 4 years older than me.
Old as dirt.
You're not. No, you're not. Stop.
Yeah. Thankfully, I don't feel like it yet, so,
That's good. I don't either. I still feel like I'm in high school most days, so.
It never changes. You always feel like you're still in, at least in your 20s, and you're like, and then you do something you forget and think, oh, I never make, you used to make those kind of noises getting up off the ground, and yeah.
Yep, getting up out of a nice restful night of sleep, and you're still sore. Or sore.
I shouldn't even be making those noises. I'm actually still pretty flexible and fairly fit, so I don't know why I even make those noises. It's not like I have pains or anything. I have no pains. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you got Sam. He's a pain.
Well,
either in the neck or the ass, one or the other.
Yeah, I also have a mini me called Sam. So that's
Oh, you do.
Sam's. Here she comes. Here he comes. Yeah.
Oh, we gotta stop talking about him, everybody. Shh. I gave you your super chat. I mean, that's another $100 would be great. I don't know. I don't have a goal in mind. Just help us out.
Just for reference,
I did see your comment about costumes earlier, Brickfuel. I meant to reply to that. I don't know if we plug them on here, but the Chinese sellers on eBay are actually pretty affordable.
Yeah, that's fine. You can plug them.
And with a little bit of effort, you can make those costumes look pretty good.
See you on Trekyards.
Yeah, and they are affordable. I mean, it depends what you're in. Depends what you're thinking is as far as affordable, but I
mean, they can't get much cheaper. Let's be honest.
You can't get much cheaper and get decent.
Because they'll just be thin and disgusting. We've seen cosplay for 10 years. I don't think you can get any cheaper. I think they're actually doing very, very good deals.
I think they're doing a great job for what they've got. And interestingly, it's like, because I bought that other TMP costume from that other seller.
Classic cosplay seller.
It was terrible. Terrible.
Do you want to show Stuart? Do you still have it?
I still do have it. I need to go and haul it out. But
it's fine.
It was, it's woeful. Absolutely woeful. And in the same price range as the stuff you're getting from that seller, which is far superior. So I was like, no, that was a bad choice. That was a bad investment.
But you got to make some mistakes so you know what to avoid, right?
I shall repurpose it for something. I mean, it's a white short-sleeve shirt. I could repurpose it for something.
Yeah, it's not very elaborate, is it?
It's not very elaborate. I'll need to take that giant iron-on off it somehow, though, which is probably going to make it.
That's the thing. But there's some... And then you get them, and the emblem's like the size of your face. It's like, the fuck is that?
So bad. It's bad. That is the worst costume investment. I mean, this is why I got into making costumes myself so many years ago, because you just couldn't source any. And that was during the true golden era of Star Trek, when, we had all the merchandise, all the games, TNG, DS9, Voyager, later Enterprise. You still could not get good costumes anywhere. If you want a good costume, you had to make it yourself or get someone to make it for you. But yeah, it's just such a difference. Yeah, change days. For sure.
Yeah. So yeah, Another 2 likes, get to 75 likes. I think that's very doable. 2 of you probably haven't hit like. I know Nick's watching. He should probably hit like.
There you go. I've hit like.
I know he hasn't. Oh, there we go.
I just hit like.
So I'm doing some math here, some sort of rough math.
Uh-huh.
One season of the Golden Age Trek show went so we had TNG Voyager on for a good amount of time together, right? Uh-huh. Just one of those shows for 1 year was going to be 1,200 minutes of content, right? 50 minutes times 24 episodes. It's 24? Or was it 22? I thought it was 24.
It's anywhere from 22 to 24-ish.
Okay, 24. A Lower Deck season is only 220 minutes. A Stranger World season is only 510 minutes. So if you have 2 seasons, one Voyager, one DS9 in a 1 year, because they weren't staggered, it was together. So that's almost 2,400 minutes of content. Now, currently in our world, we get Picard, Stranger Worlds, Discovery, Lower Decks, Prodigy. So we get 2 240s and 3 510s. So 510 times 3 plus 440. Yeah, so we're getting 300 minutes less content a year in this year with 5 shows on all year round than the Golden Age and 2 shows at the same time. Now, how does that make you feel then, Nick? 300 minutes less, 2 shows rather than 5.
Doesn't particularly put me up nor down one way or the other. Okay. And, I mean, certainly when these shows were on, there were...
That's 6 less episodes a year, even with 5 shows.
Thank you, Jasper Jedi, and hi. That doesn't particularly bother me because you still got a lot of content out there. And to be fair, there are amongst those many more minutes of shows, there were a fair few duds in there. So there was certainly some material that could have been cropped from those. I don't think that's necessarily a massive point, but there's still a lot of content coming out of there, and there's still a lot of buzz around it. So I don't think that really changes my opinion. I think Stuart's argument that we're lacking kind of like merchandise and games is a strong influences how I feel about it rather more strongly than the amount of stuff the amount of minutes there are. But I don't know. I think if we're not in a second golden age or a latinum age, as someone else suggests on there, sorry, I can't remember who, maybe that's more appropriate, we're possibly on the cusp of one, but it may depend what happens over the next few years, because obviously Playmates has got the toy license back again, so if we start seeing more and more toys coming out, and we know there are toys coming out, even though I really wish they'd not just re-popped the original series phaser and just rebuilt it from scratch, but never mind. Please just buy Art Asylum's molds or something and do a proper job. Or
just get, the One Company's mold.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an almost perfect one. Just re-resin it.
Art Asylum's molds were fantastic. Art
yeah.
Phase
but you have an almost perfect one. Just use that.
And technically are canon because they used them in Enterprise. But and they were very well done. I've still got, I think, 3 in boxed unopened. Nice. And one of the few times in my life I actually did that. So yeah, I think that's a stronger influence on me than the number of minutes, to be honest. And I think it does change my opinion slightly what Stuart was saying, that maybe we're not quite in it, but we're maybe on the cusp of, depending on what happens in the next few years. If we get another film in the next couple of years, that might also...
If we get a Picard film, that'll be...
Well, the other problem is, I mean, any attempt in the last few years to actually get merchandising off the ground has really not gone well. And I'm not quite sure that's why. I'm not quite sure why that is. I don't know if the audience isn't there or the market's tapped out, or maybe it's the wrong kind of merchandise that's coming out. I mean, there's a lot of merchandise out there, but it tends to be kind of t-shirts.
A lot of the good stuff's high-end price-wise, too, like all the one stuff.
Well, talking
it's
of
kind of
costuming,
not accessible to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, costuming, look at Anovos, and their prices were very high, and they went out of business.
And the amount of people that have Anovos that say, well, this is inaccurate, It's like, you're paying the absolute top dollar, and they always say screen accurate. And it's like, but the entire point, they were the top dog. Yeah. They weren't right.
Yeah, they certainly built some inaccuracies into their costumes. I've heard it mumbled that was intentional, so they couldn't be mistaken for off the set. I'm not sure I buy that argument.
That's stupid.
My TNG uniform, you've seen my TNG uniform. There's a massive inaccuracy in that because it doesn't have the notch in the black in the back of the costume. I actually had to take it apart and put that in myself which meant I had to shorten the jacket because there wasn't enough. It was a big job for me. But I did do that myself and put it back together. But their premium line version was right. I don't know. I feel like they did cut some corners on the non-premium stuff, but not so much on the premium stuff. It's like on the First Contact uniforms they did. They didn't use the proper color for the gray yoke. They used a plain gray.
Although, as we know, the different movies have different colors. I mean, you show a version of Insurrection and First Contact, they're not the same color. They don't have the same yoke style. Like, it's like, well...
Oh, I mean, the yoke styles did change somewhat. They definitely changed them from First Contact. I mean, the way they did the edging, I can never remember what you call that, around them in First Contact is very different from DS9, Insurrection, Voyager. I mean, you saw them mixing them a bit as well in the later movies, but yeah, I mean, there's always a bit of evolution there, but mostly they tended to try and have that kind of slightly lilac grey color, and Anova did not do that for their standard line, but they did do it for the premium line.
Back to merchandise for a second. Let's do also jump in with another comment.
I just want to read a super chat real quick. Jasper Jedi, $5. I, for one, appreciate your perspective, Nick, and the rest of the people in the community, even as I sometimes disagree, as a firm believer in IDIC. Infinite diversity, infinite company.
Well said, Jasper. It was Jasper, wasn't it? Yes, Jasper Jedi. Well said, Jasper Jedi. Sorry, I'm scrolling back and forth between the chat and the Skype window, and there's a delay, so...
Back to merchandise for a second. This is one of the few times I'll take the Fandom Menace's argument, because the proof is in the pudding. They were saying that all the merchandisees refused to go forward with any of the lines, and of course, clearly that they must have been true because no one ever did anything except Eagle Moss. There was never any Discovery stuff. Clearly, they were never going to go forward when they knew the fans didn't like it. Otherwise, there would be merchandise. So they were obviously right with that. And we know from Eagle Moss that they literally could not get rid of their Klingon Eagle Moss Discovery line because there was no demand. They would cut their price from £40 to $10 and could not sell them after 4 years. So clearly, the proof is in the pudding.
The Klingon Discovery designs were
subjectively, Nick,
odd. I agree subjectively, but I mean,
people aren't buying them. They're not popular. Like the initial people, exactly. So there was not an interest in the Discovery anything.
I mean, in their defense slightly, I don't really tend to buy any Klingon ships because I just buy Starfleet ones generally because that's what I'm interested in. But yeah, I didn't like the Klingon designs in Discovery.
I actually kind of sad because I spent the full £40 on every single Discovery ship. If I had waited 3 years, I could have bought them all for less than a third of the cost, and I would have got them all the same day. And it's insane. Same with Picard; they were all getting cut rate as well. So there is clearly people were not going to buy them. People did not buy them. Like the amount of Burnham and Saru things that got promoted and then discontinued because no one was going to buy them. So there was obviously a disinterest with the audience.
I did buy the Zheng He from Eagle Moss, but I really wish they'd actually put out the finished version.
Tobias Richter's finished
so much better.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
The actual design itself is fine, but it was very unfinished. I wish they'd do. You know what? In this day and age, when they're making changes to stuff in streaming, and they're making changes to things post-release, I don't see why they don't just update that shot. But maybe it's just not worth it to them.
It's not.
You think? Yeah.
Samuel keeps saying they should change this for Blu-ray.
They should.
And I'm like, they're not going to do that.
I agree. They should, but they won't. And I don't think the money's in it to do it. But I think they should.
But there's a pride aspect. It shouldn't be about money. There's just you'll put out a bad product. Everyone knows it is.
I would like
you could
to
fix
see
it.
them do that. I would like to see them do that.
I would too. I know they're not going to.
Because
before we move on,
You're right, Stuart. You're absolutely right.
We got 2 super chats. Danny Janey, $25.
That's
Cheers,
a shot.
guys. That's
Nick,
a shot.
drink your shot. Oh.
And Taylor T throws in $50. I'm home alone taking care of my kids this week. As such, I need to live through you guys vicariously. Take 2 massive shots, Captain. Oh, I get 2.
Well, I've just done 1.5, but okay. So you got 3 there.
I got 3. Holy.
All right. Those are very generous super chats.
Makes a big difference.
You have a very generous audience.
Drunkyards, they want to see us suffer. I mean, you should be here when people are like dumping 20s, and we're downing shots, and it gets like the end bit.
But it gets
very funny. So, but But I was going to say the other thing that Prodigy last week, I assume you saw the episode, the Prometheus was wrong around and it was the wrong ship. They say, I looked up and I saw the Proto star appear. It's Prometheus upside down again. And then the same thing.
I didn't notice that, but I did. Yeah.
And then the Tellurite ship is also upside down. So 3 ships are upside down and one's the wrong ship. And even in the first shot where you see the Prometheus, it's been lit from the wrong direction. So the shot was originally the right way up, and someone messed it up. And like that is literally a layer, mirror, fixed. And Stuart said they're not going to fix it. I said fixing that for Blu-ray would take potentially 20 minutes and 0 money. And it's a mistake. Like, the fact the light direction's wrong. Like, someone
would do that for free. Who would fix it for free?
Someone literally just flipped it.
I just think back to Enterprise with the D4.
Yep.
Where they, somebody worked over the weekend to make a D4 that was correct, and they decided
hold on. Nick, do you know the story?
I'm sure I've heard this before.
Okay.
Third shot.
Ooh.
Sorry.
Okay. Stuart, give the full story. It's a great story.
You know it better than I do. You tell it.
Oh, fine. In the episode Unexpected, the one where Trip gets pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
They build the Xyrillian ship, which is a great model, and they're told to build a Klingon. Also, you're leaning in, so I need to reframe the camera.
Oh,
okay,
it's fine.
Yeah. And they were told to design a new Klingon ship. First Klingon ship we see Enterprise. It's like episode 14. And they have sketches from John Eaves. Really nice. Very apt, very logical, fantastic. And the production team say, we have no money to build a new ship. They're like, right. But we need one. They're like, well, just reuse go into the archive. Just use the last Klingon ship from DS9. Oh, yeah. But that's a Katinga. Use it.
The
thing is,
the term that was used is, don't worry, no one will notice.
Yeah, because we've heard from the team. The thing is that Koji, the lovely Koji, who's a very good model on the team, went on Friday night, who heard this silly plan, built John's sketch, and delivered it on Monday. Spent the entire weekend doing it he committed free of charge.
For free. Yeah.
And it's a good model. It's shocking how good it is for the time. He really did a good job. And it was ready. And they even built scenes with it in, because I have them. But no, they went with the Katinga instead. And they did change it a little bit, in fairness, like tiny tweaks, but they're just colour differences. And now, there's canonly a Katinga from DS9, the same model, 300 years later, earlier.
I do remember being outraged by that at the time.
And it's just a mistake, right?
Nowadays, I'd probably just be going, whatever. But at the time, it was like,
it's close enough.
But it's a mistake of intent. They deliberately made a mistake where and it's just.
And when they knew they had a model ready to go.
Yeah, and it was even a lighter model. It would take less time to render than the heavier Katinga they used. And that's why things like Discovery, like them saying Kailash, like it's just a mistake. It's not a canon thing. It's just they're making a mistake because they're being given the wrong information. I said earlier, Nick, that the clone of Kailash said his name's Kailash. His name's not Kailash. Doesn't matter if the person in Discovery says.
He maybe forgot to put his false teeth in that day.
Fair enough.
No, they tweaked the Universal Translator to make it Kailash because it's less offensive to the ears. That's all.
Fine. But that's just a mistake. It's just Discovery making a mistake, and it's not a canon thing. You can't add it because it's just broken. There are a few broken things. Okay. Taylor
T throws in another $50. There's 2 shots for the commander too.
I mean, I did. So that's 4 is good. 4 is good. But Nick, how do you feel about the TOS Type F Class F shuttle now being canonically warp capable?
Oh,
properly.
That's an interesting retcon. But then, it kind of has to have been in some ways.
Yeah, it's been debated over the years whether it was or not.
Menagerie, Kirk and Mendez are chasing the Enterprise in one, and you're like, if it only goes at impulse, how are you chasing the Enterprise? So it kind of has to be.
But they ran out of fuel, Nick.
Tara says,
what is warp fuel?
Hold on. Tara says deuterium. Tara says, I think they said Kailash because of their sharp teeth. Yeah, and the fucking padding they put in their cheeks. They couldn't type anything properly.
No, they were told to say Kailash. Like, it's actually a thing. The vocal coach said, this is how they should have pronounced it for the last 40 years, according to the dictionary. That's what they said. So when Mary Shifo's interviewed, like, no, we said it properly. The first people, I'm like, Kailash said his name was Kailash. You're fucking wrong. Sorry.
Fucking wrong.
Like, doesn't matter if the dictionary says it. You're wrong. Like, 1,000 case studies. You're wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's an alien language. He can pronounce his name however the fuck he likes to pronounce his name anyway. And if he's always been, well, I mean, I don't understand why you'd change it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it didn't particularly bother me. It just seemed kind of pointless.
But when the guy's like, it's like, right.
Such a good job of that.
It's like, but just say 4K Lesh. Like, even just that is better. Because they're doing it. Like, it's an active choice to make it go over the top. I mean, it's also a lot of it's dubbed. Like, they can't talk for the wolf.
You're right. It's the Scottish Vogue.
No, it's what it is. What it is it's a
well
Klingon.
said, Star Trek.
It's a Klingon giving a blowjob, and of course they have 2 dicks in there.
Oh,
Yep.
you had to go
Yep.
there, didn't you?
Double dick Kalesh. That's what we all called him at high school. Double dick Kalesh.
And for the record, they don't have 2 dicks.
Again,
I don't care what
it's just a
anybody
mistake. It's some guy who had plastic surgery. Like, we're not canonicizing that. Like it's just wrong.
He's got a Prince Albert piercing, and he just took it out. All it is. That's why it's 2 strings.
I like that explanation because it just seems ridiculous otherwise.
But I went to FedCon and I was like, oh, I'm going to be bold and I'm going to go up onto the panel and ask, Shazad,
did you have 2 dicks? Is that what you said?
No, I said, say Kalesh. And he does it. He's like, Kalesh. And he so tries. I love it. Because he knows it's me. Like, he knows me. I just want to find that clip because it's so fun to see him say it live. And, like, obviously without the teeth. It's like, ha, you said it. And then he talks about why. And he's like, because he's just trying to defend it. Like, you know. Because most people obviously won't talk about their own show badly because you don't want to as well. My favourite example, I always say it, Stuart, is that Marina Sirtis in Generations press tour. So it's her favourite film. Best film I think they did, some of the best work. 20 years later at convention, she said, I knew it was bad. I never liked the script. I didn't like working on it really. It was a bad film. She has not changed her opinion. She's a press junket lying because she's being told to. Like, so Discovery will eventually say, we know it was a bad script later down the line. It's going to happen. Wait for it, right? It's going to happen. They know as well. They just can't say it for obvious, don't ruin their career. But Maria doesn't care. You know? It's fine. It's all good, you know?
The Clan McMogue. I like that. Yeah, the Clan McMogue.
McSmoke.
I mean, Scotsman work as Klingons very well. There's an awful lot of Klingon fans in Scotland, actually. And I wouldn't want to mess with most of them.
A lot of furs, I'm guessing. They don't have conventions because it's cold. So there's a lot of furs.
Possibly. Yeah. Well, it's very cold. I don't think it's. I think it's colder. I think it's colder down there than it is up here at the moment, actually.
Which is shocking.
We were only -5 this morning. What were you?
Oh no, -3.
Yeah, okay, so we were colder.
Yeah, we didn't get below minus. Have you had snow up there?
Yeah, we haven't. We've not had snow where I am, but there has been snow around about us, just not where I am.
Yeah, we beat Scotland to snow. What the hell?
We've had snow up here actually. We had snow last weekend, I think, but we often don't get it in Dundee because we're kind of in this little protected bit between the river and the hills. We don't get a lot of snow in Dundee. When we get it either a little sprinkling or it's really bad. But most of the time, areas around us are getting it, and we don't get any.
Fun.
I can relate to that.
Yeah,
London's the same way. We're situated between like 2 Great Lakes, which is really awful. It's called the Snow Belt. So sometimes London gets dumped on. Nowhere else around us does, or sometimes everywhere else gets snow and London gets nothing. So it's kind of a weird situation we're in here.
microclimates.
Yeah,
they're a thing.
It's called the lake effect.
Side note, Nick, back to the actual topic, I should say.
Yeah, I go off on tangents a lot. You know this by now.
If they were if there was
those are the best parts.
Genuinely confirmed, they're on set right now filming a movie, not the 7 years of wrong, fake, whatever directors. Would that pendulum swing to the next golden age? If there was, well, I mean, Picard's obviously finished now, so now there's 4 shows in production. Let's just commit to that. So 4 shows and a movie. Would that dip the scales, or does it again depend on what sort of movie?
I think it would depend on what happens when the movie comes out, because a movie in production I don't think makes much difference necessarily. A movie coming out and being a massive success, definitely. A movie coming out and being a complete flop, or somewhere in the middle, like a Beyond.
It was such a better movie than the other two as well.
Beyond was the best of the three.
Beyond's the best of the three.
So
Beyond is my
sad.
favorite of the three. It is
Same
absolutely.
here.
It feels like a Star Trek movie to me.
It does.
It's also just a good movie. Like, doesn't even
It
be.
is.
It's just a decent. It's not a great movie.
It
It's just a good
could
movie
have
myself.
done. I mean, it was rushed. The script was rushed on that movie because.
And he
they
did a good
rushed it.
job, Mr. Pegg, for a
He
for a
did a
rush
really good
script.
job.
Well,
I would
yeah.
love to see him have another crack at it. But I really enjoyed it. And actually, my favorite story about Beyond is it is the only Star Trek movie I have watched on first release in America, in Vegas, after a convention.
Nice.
Yeah. When
I've
we
heard
got
the story.
stuck in Vegas for an extra day because our flight was cancelled. Actually, our flight wasn't cancelled. We couldn't get on it because of a computer error at the airport, and there's queues out the building. Anyway, we got kept up. We got kept in Vegas for an
Good
extra night.
story.
The place we were staying at had a movie theater. It was the South Point, so I went to go see it by myself.
You abandoned your wife and child.
Well, they were sleeping, so I thought I'm going to go see the movie.
I remember-
Star Trek again.
I went to the theater with Sylvia to see that, and when Kroll, or whatever the hell his name is,
Yeah, Carl.
says
Good job.
slit its throat, and you just saw them rip through the neck of that ship. I was like, yes, because I fucking hate the JJ Price.
It was very
and then
satisfying.
Cutting the nacelles off, I was like, I was the only one in the theater. I was like, yes, and everybody.
You stood up.
I don't hate the ship,
Oh, it's an awful design.
but it's not. It's far from my. It's
This-
probably my least
this-
favorite.
If the Strange New Worlds Enterprise was the reboot 2009
Oh,
Enterprise, I would have
beautiful.
been fucking ecstatic.
Yeah,
But
totally.
the Ryan Church one just.
And there's no reason why it didn't need to be.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they could easily have done that. And you know, I'm not one of these people who think, hey, you should just take the ship from the original series and that'll work today. I think what they've done in Strange New Worlds is add a shit ton of detail to it, which really does help sell it for a modern show. And that would have worked fine for a movie. That design on a movie screen would be great. And it would work. It would sell. People would buy it. But it's not what
Well,
we got.
Casual Trekker throws in $10. Canon reestablishing wise, how do you think the crossover with Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks
Ooh.
will jive with how accurate Lower Decks is compared to how
Oof.
different Strange New Worlds visually is in regards to Enterprise, for instance?
Oof.
I think Mariner's
good
going to make a
question.
smart-ass comment about as far as this doesn't look like it should, or something like that.
Were the
have a
corridors
feeling-
always this big?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You could be right, actually. I could see them poking some little meta comments in at that. One thing I'm really looking forward to is seeing what those lower deck costumes are supposed to look like in the real world. Because
Assuming we see maybe they have something else on when the event happens. That crosses them over.
maybe.
I mean,
maybe,
in fairness, they
but I
might
hope
just
they're new-
Strange World costume as well. They might just like
Yeah,
grab a thing off the rail.
maybe. But I really hope we see them in their proper.
Well, we know he's dyed his hair purple. He dyes hair purple for it. Like he knows
has.
that.
He has.
Yeah.
I really want to see the uniforms.
I mean, they would not be smart if they didn't show a live action Cerritos, because
Oh, God,
especially
yeah.
with
Have to.
like they flew to the place with a VR wall. They could recreate one table, one chair, and then the mess hall in live action Unreal, and then
Yeah.
one scene. Like it's the easiest thing to do in that location is just recreate a one-off quick set, infinitely quick and easy. So yeah,
I think if that doesn't happen, people are going to be very disappointed. So I think they have to do it. I think they have to have done it.
I think it's such a blessing because those are the two shows that are worth doing. I think we should be lucky either way. And that's me saying that because there's a great pair to work with.
Matt Boardman throws in $10.
Oh, Matt
and
Boardman.
says, Kailash.
Kailash!
Oh, I need to have half a shot for that one. That's good.
Sounds like, Kailash was in the nursing home and Kailash!
Oh god, but this is a really like
Dentist chair.
this was a very go backwards. But the audience asked, and then we asked each other, what's the one episode of the modern Trek that made us kind of sad to watch? And it is honestly that first episode of Discovery, coming out of Kuvuma's face and be like, oh Jesus Christ, that's what we're doing. Everything about the scene's wrong. Like knowing the dread of oh dear God makes me sad even to this day. That I remember the visceral feeling of oh fuck. And then obviously the episode is terrible, but like that moment. So what episode made you sad, or the saddest? for any reason. There's no quantification. It's just personal sad for any reason, even if that's a shit costume, whatever you want.
I didn't like how they did the First Contact uniforms in Picard. I didn't think they were as well done. That made me a bit sad.
And obviously Brent's wrong hairline.
Yeah, that didn't bother me too much. I mean, you know,
That was awful.
20 years later.
Yeah, but it's easy
But
reference.
there's not anything that particularly made me sad. I mean,
Well, it's a sliding scale. If you had
know
to
what?
quantify.
Discovery jumping 800 years into the future, kind of like you saw
Should've
it coming
started
like
there.
about, you see it coming like 10 episodes beforehand for a start, and B, what was the point of setting it in this time period and then jumping ahead? And also, these characters jumping 800 years in the future. Are we going to take a bunch of Vikings from the 1200s and bring them into this era and set them up on a naval warship?
Yes.
Come on. I mean, you could at least address, even, you know, it's like, oh, well, you know, how we've got kind of like, we can teach them rapid teaching and stuff like that. There's nothing. And I mean, a doctor from the 12th century coming to the 21st century and performing, it just makes no sense. I mean, that gap between what they knew and what they're now in, they would be cavemen. It's just,
And it's not just that,
it
but
doesn't work for me.
they wouldn't let them keep the same bridge design.
No.
Like, they wouldn't give them a steamboat. If a steamboat came to modern day, they'd just give them a new ship. They wouldn't let them have the steamboat and not change the brass furnishings,
But,
the rusty pipes.
They were short of ships.
They had lots of ships.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
you'd still refit the inside of the bridge.
Yeah.
And give them a more modern bridge.
Especially with, I mean, come on, the amazing tech they invented for the show could refit the entire bridge in a day.
Yeah. So that
Effortlessly.
is probably the thing that makes me saddest.
Maybe that's why they still have it, because they're
I
cavemen
think-
and they can't understand the new
See,
technology.
that
so
is
just
the other
keep your old
possibility.
shit.
That
I
is,
Just hook it up
think
to new
that if they were going to
components.
jump them into the future, they should have jumped them into the 25th century.
oh, go familiar. Oh, you mean like Picard era?
Yeah, that's what they should have done.
But then Discovery writers who are infinitely worse at writing, throwing stuff, at least because I've said this to you before, Discovery is out of the timeline. You can't have Endgame, time travel logic, and Discovery
Yeah.
Season 3.
See, that's the thing. I mean, you could argue that Discovery is often even its own kind of splinter
It has to be.
reality as well. I mean, you
Time
just
travel
don't
doesn't
know.
work that way
So
otherwise.
I'm actually, I mean, I don't really have a beef with the show. I watch it, I enjoy it, but it's not my favorite show by any stretch of the imagination. I love some of the characters and these actors in it. I think they're great, but it doesn't scratch my Trek itch the way other shows do.
Would
So-
you label it then as your, if we're labeling all 13 shows, would that be at the bottom of the podium? Take the animated series out of the equation.
Ooh.
Because this is not saying dislike, but there is an order of enjoyment. I mean, is it not the lowest enjoyment?
While you're thinking about it, I want to read a comment.
Yeah.
and
I
then
don't know if I can answer that question, actually. I don't think I can't really answer
Think
that
about it.
question.
think about it for a second. Matt Boardman throws in $10. I think the thing that makes me the most sad about the choices in modern Trek is the constant need to change things or ignore what when there's already been established history in the show's history. Yes, I agree. And then Casual Trekker has upgraded his membership to Fleet Admiral.
Oh, fucking hell.
So
sorry.
Thank you.
Wow.
That is a big deal.
I am
will
drinking
take a
shots.
shot
I
at
would
both
have a
of
drink
those
if I had
things.
one.
Oh,
I think Matt's got a point there. With the caveat that I would say Trek has always had a bit of a tendency to ignore a lot and retcon a lot of things in its history. I think that is a bigger thing now than it has been historically. But a lot of things have been retconned over the years before we got to the modern shows. But yeah, I don't
Every
think
time
that's
you
wrong.
visit TOS, every time they visit TOS and Trials and Tribulations and Inamir Darkly and Relics, they always went out of their way to make sure they spent the weekend building the Bridge of the Defiant for
I
Inamir
agree.
Darkly, and it is exactly how it should have looked.
well,
As
That's
that,
a period piece.
to my mind, is why they should never have gone back and done a prequel.
Exactly, unless you say it's a reboot or an
But-
alternate time.
They did, and we're stuck with that. So,
yes.
and I know a lot of people love the original series aesthetic. I love the original series aesthetic, but realistically, and some of you guys may disagree here.
Can you mute
I don't
him,
think you
please?
can put-
'Cause I know what he's going to say.
I don't think you can put a TV show on the air with that aesthetic and expect it to be successful
That's totally
in this
wrong.
day and age. I
look
think
at
it's
Enemy
debatable.
Darkly. They updated with modern filming
That was a
techniques and lighting. That looked
episode.
beautiful.
It was a special, and it did look beautiful.
Point of contention.
I think
Prodigy came out 3 weeks ago, and those out of focus blinkies next to Dahl looked cinematic as all hell. That was 3 weeks ago, and that looked fantastic.
And that was one episode, not a weekly series.
Exactly. But it didn't look dated.
Feel free to prove me wrong. I would love to be proven wrong, but it's never going to happen because nobody's ever going to make a show like that. I mean, I say nobody. You never know.
I used to like this guy, Samuel.
We all said the TNG crew had never came back, so they've come back. So who knows? Maybe somebody will do it. Hey, don't get me wrong. I would love to see it. I would watch the hell out of that. I just don't see it flying. I don't think a network would back it.
Paul B says it was standard definition broadcast quality. It doesn't matter. Enemy Darkly wasn't, and it looked beautiful.
It was better in HD.
And all you got to do is the jelly bean buttons. I've said this all along. When the panel's off, it's all black. As soon as you fire it up, you see the little blink, and then floating just above the black panel are these tactile holographic buttons that look from a distance like just.
Hey, that's a cool idea. Like I say,
but it's visually updated and modern.
And I've said to
the Dark Lord Revan. The Dark Lord Revan has joined the channel at the rank of captain.
Hey, long time no. You comment not. That's awesome. Words. Yes.
I'm just messing with you, Nick. I disagree. I disagree on that point 100%.
To be honest, I don't disagree with you because I think you could do it. I don't think a studio would back it, and B, I'm not sure the audience would be. I could be wrong. I think hardcore fans would love it, but is that enough of an audience? I honestly don't know.
Well, it's funny because I've said this before, and I'll disclaim it. If I was given a TOS show, I would visually update it the correct way to be modernly applicable and yet faithful. It could be done. It's not difficult.
I would trust you to do that.
Yes. End of sentence. Excellent.
And I would have faith that you could do that, but I don't think it's an easy thing to do. I think
it's
Strange
way
New
easier
Worlds
than you think. It's
easier than you think. We both redesigned the TOS bridge. We still haven't released that, by the way.
Yeah.
I think Strange New Worlds has done a very good job of doing it.
Yes, very good. Too shiny.
But I still think prequels were the wrong way to go. I really do.
They were,
I
absolutely.
Think
don't shoehorn anything in.
I don't think I think Enterprise was a mistake, and I love Enterprise. I think those last two seasons. I think the last season, I liked season 3, loved season 4.
Mm-hmm.
But actually,
Enterprise fucked with my headcanon, and I didn't like it at the time.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit element of that with me, and I did enjoy the show. But prequels are not my preference. I would rather stay in the kind of here and now of the show, going back to these things.
And Tara says she totally agrees with Nick. Shocking, I know. Don't you guys think that they've done a better job on that on Strange New Worlds, if not perfectly?
I totally do, Tara. And yay,
not perfectly.
Tara.
It looks fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the prime timeline. It is an alternate timeline or a rebooted timeline, and that's fine. It looks fantastic.
It's a visual reboot.
But also, it isn't at the same time.
It's supposed to be the same timeline.
But it also isn't, though.
And I get why that's a disconnect for so many people because we're so used to that continuity that we've had there for years.
50 years of history doesn't get washed out by one season of a new show.
But that's why I think that a reboot that's why I think prequels are a bad idea for Star Trek, because you just can't make it work that way without pissing off some element of your viewership.
It's just a shame because people fought for TOS. It is a bit of a slap in the face when they're like, this aesthetic made by the creator, by a guy that was in the Navy, etc., who tens of millions of love for 50 years, shut the fuck up and go away. We're going to redo it. Like, it is truly disrespectful. And then you have Prodigy and Lower Decks both actively recreating it. If they say reboot, all bets are off. Which, ironically, I disagree with Spock jumping into if Spock was irrelevant from the JJ films, it'd be perfect, because there's no link, it's whatever it is. What I think they should do, personally, is that you said no one watched the TOS stuff. I think they should go to Corley sets and film.
I wouldn't say that no one would watch them.
Well, but I think
what you said.
I think what they should do is they should give themselves a $30,000 budget per episode for a web series. Go and film a series of 10 shorts on Corley sets, which are entirely filmable, entirely the old sets. They're already built. The entire cost is flying people there in hotels. You bring a red camera, costumes exist, boom, and see the audience reaction. Because a web series for almost no money, which you could do, and those sets would work entirely well,
now
would have such an interesting viewership and be worth the money. And then you could do a TOS show at the same time for almost no money.
I would agree that would work. And because it's a web series with a low budget, I think it would fly.
Yeah.
And I think there'd be enough of an audience to make it viable.
And it'd be a good test bed, because then you'd see, what are the viewership numbers? It's like, oh shit, they're huge. It's like, yes, they are. Because loads of people want to see this. You know?
And not everybody wants to see it. I get that argument, but
we're in an age of Trek where there's all the
get me wrong.
variations.
I grew up with the original series. I'm an original series fan, and I will watch that. And particularly the first season. I love the first season of original series. I think it's one of the best seasons Star Trek's ever had. It's got such strong.
On the web.
Shut up, Siri. It's got such strong storytelling and such strong performances. I mean, Shatner's at his strongest in the first season. And there's not that tongue-in-cheek slight silliness that gets into original series a little bit later on. First season is phenomenally good.
Well, it's real. It's hardcore sci-fi.
Yeah, it is.
It's real science fiction.
So I'm a fan of that. You make that show, I will watch that show. I'm just not convinced there's as big an audience there for that as there is for more modern looking productions, and that's just.
But you can make it look modern, and
if you could make it look modern and make it work
with new cameras and lighting techniques, it's.
But what Sam's suggesting, I think, would fly and would work very well.
But it's interesting
because it's low budget.
Because we've got this pantheon of shows now. What's the audience for Prodigy in theory? If it's a kids show, our viewership's terrible for Prodigy because the audience is not there for it in the grand audience. Pitching it like it's a show that doesn't link to anything in greater way. The ship's weird, the interiors are weird. Generally sort of in it, but not really. Until you see the last half of the season, it's not even in the stuff we know. Like TOS show would get more viewership than Prodigy. Like Hand Over Fist, it would get probably double the viewership of the Prodigy show. Discovery has pissed off more people than would come in to watch the TOS show. 100%. Now, Stranger Worlds and Picard, they would have higher viewership than the TOS show. 100%. But I think a TOS low-budget show would beat those two views pretty successfully. I don't think it's so
easy to predict what your viewership would be for these things. I mean, that's
because you've got all of the old fans who would come in to watch it, which is all 50, 60-year-olds, 50, 40, 60. A lot of their children would come watch it. A lot of the intrigue would come watch it. It's a huge viewership. It's basically the entire fandom is a possible audience. Prodigy and what was the other one I said? Discovery. You've pissed off half the audience. It seems like a subset of the audience, but it's not. It's for everyone. That TV show would be viewed by more people. Now, Stranger Worlds is fun because it feels like it's for everyone, and it is. It's a weird one. It's like, oh, it's kind of fresh. Everyone kind of watched it. Picard haven't watched it for interest's sake, but
I think a TNG era show set aboard a new ship would probably pull in a decent audience.
People would say it looks dated and they need to visually update it. If they did that, if a new production team did that, they would make the floor shiny, they would change the L cards, it would not like TNG, and you would be on our boat of saying they can't visually update it, it looks modern enough. Once you start saying they can mess up TOS, they can mess up TNG.
That's completely contradicting what you're saying about the original series sets, though. So you're saying they'll update the TNG sets to make them look more modern, and that won't work. But you're saying you could do it to the original series sets. That's kind of
I don't want them. No, I don't want them to. I would watch TOS show by itself.
Take away the carpets and put like a shiny floor. To make it for a modern audience in TNG time.
But I'm
radically
saying
change it.
The same thing you're suggesting about shooting on James Corley's set. I think if you do something like that, I think that would get a good audience in as well, because there is a lot of nostalgia, especially amongst my generation, for TNG, and I think that's got as big a viewership
but they'd want to change
as big
it,
a viewership as the original
the
series.
visuals would have to change because they would see it as dated. Whoever made it would see it as dated. They would Stranger Worlds it, and then suddenly you're saying, well, now is it Enterprise D canon, or is the shiny floor twice the size of the bridge with holographic displays?
The same format as you're talking about shooting on James Corley's set. So this is not updating it, just shooting it with a lower budget on a facsimile like James's sets, which funnily enough, James is building those sets. So
very slowly.
Well, very slowly, but you know.
We got to get to the super chats because people super chatted in.
Excellent.
Those real quick. Subspace chatter, £2. I agree with Nick.
Woo!
Casual Trekker, $5. Would you pay like $10 a month to stream to watch Star Trek Continues from week to week, or watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds? I would watch both.
Oh, well,
I
yeah,
would pay
both.
happily.
both.
I would pay happily to watch both.
But if there was an option, if they basically crowdfunded saying, audience, you pay £10 a month worldwide to the Star Trek web series fund, they would get their budget in a week. If the promise was we'll make a TOS show, they'd get it day one. They'd get enough people to fund it. Lower budget,
Probably.
but they'd get it day one.
Although it might depend on who was making it.
Sure. Terry, maybe.
Last super chat, real quick.
No,
Matt Boardman,
Terry needs to
$5.
come and make my TNG show.
Ooh.
Matt
He'll get
Boardman,
Patrick.
$5.
Woo! The
But
agent
you
Patrick.
say that, and yet we eat up the retro
Or
look
Mike-
of Star Wars
or
and The Mandalorian.
Mike-
and
Oh. Matt's hit the nail on the head here. Sorry, say it again, Matt. I mean, Stuart.
But okay, this is for Nick. You say that, but we eat up the retro look of Star Wars in The Mandalorian and Andor.
But that's
100%
a
agree.
completely different
It's
look.
not.
You're
It's
talking
not. That's
60s TV budget look versus
The 70s.
1970s movie look. Complete apples and oranges there.
It's not.
It's completely apples and oranges.
hated.
Apples and oranges.
Ugh.
It will be interesting though in 20 years when people go back and say, guys, we can't make A New Hope. It looks like trash. We've got to entirely change that era because it'll look like trash. And so now, the shows in the 2040 and then Star Wars fans will be like, but that's what it was. And they'll say, no, you can't have green and black screens that are flat with big buttons. It looks too outdated. Like once you get to that point, people complain. It's like, well, we're feeling this now. You know, imagine if Star Wars fans got that,
Well, that's a fair point if you're talking about the look of the technology, because there was that kind of element to it. But I think, I don't know. I still think
Star
it's
Wars
the
fans would
apples and oranges.
riot if they changed the New Hope style.
Keep in mind, Star Wars is only about 10 years, only less than 10 years after TOS went off the air. So,
But it's a
and
respect
it is a
thing.
movie budget, not a TV budget.
But it's still
And
unbelievable
fine,
for the
so-
future, though. Like you can't buy. They've got holograms and they've got
But it's
black
not the
and
future; it's the past.
yeah, they've got
It's
spaceships.
a long time ago.
Indeed.
in
But you
a
know what I mean?
galaxy
It's not
far,
believable
far
to
away.
have both. You know, it's a daft thing, but we accept it because it's what it was. If they started changing it, then people wouldn't accept it, and there'd be riots. But they respect it fully. You know, it's like it was kind of odd to see an AK-47 in Andor. Bit weird, but Star Wars does that. They use retro things, and we love it. You know, it's weird, but we love it.
I still think it's a bit apples and oranges. But hey,
Oh no, it is, but it's just a respect thing. You know, like you could.
Yeah, it's the respect. That's the thing.
You know, they're both period pieces, and you should be pissed off if both got changed. One got fundamentally swapped. When the other one does, you've then got to accept it, because at a certain point, New Hope will look too old to be kept. So at that point, you basically got to shut up and say, visually updated, and therefore also you'd have to visually reboot for Phantom
I
Menace.
don't have any straight answers for these things. I can only go on my own gut instincts on that. Sturm, I completely agree with you.
Ooh.
I would pay monthly for Farragut, TOS, and Farragut Forward.
I'd pay monthly
then
for
I like those
Intrepid.
guys.
Give Nick a budget. Give Nick 10,000 an episode. Yeah.
My budget's about £5 an episode, and that's for my lunch budget.
That's
so
your lunch budget, yeah. So it's packed
Actually,
lunch.
no, my
Stern
lunch-
Von Alt,
lunch
member for
budget on my
27
next
months
one,
at the
last
rank
one was
of
about
commander.
$40, 40 quid.
Said I'd
but,
pay monthly for Farragut, TOS, and Forward. Yes,
That's exactly. I was agreeing with Sturm. Sturm is right.
I know. I just wanted to read it because they want me to read.
And that's the beauty of. I just wish they went Star Trek for everybody, because the shows they have now all have a genuine audience, genuinely, and they all do genuinely different things better than others. That's how they're built. If they were to do a web series version, lower budget TOS, like you said, build one TNG. I mean, I there's a video coming out I think next week. I said to them, make a TNG runabout set, which is fully enclosed. If you have to update it, fine, whatever, but keep it roughly the same, and you make that a web series. One set, 5 uniforms, one cast, purely web series for small budget. You can have 2 new shows, entirely canon feeling, for 1/10 the budget, less than that, and hit even more audience. And guess what? If you shoot it well, the TOS thing, for example, you'll have millions of fans eat it up weekly, and then every fan base will be appeased. You know, like you can do that. You know,
I think they've missed the boat a little bit with short treks, because I think what they were doing with short treks was really interesting. And that could have been kind of like a mini anthology show, which could have, made a lot of people. And you could have done a proper TOS style.
You really could have.
Episode on there. You could have done a proper TNG period piece and all these things.
It's funny because I've said that all along. The Short Treks anthology show, every episode, a different era. I'd be totally down with it. Not connected at all. Different ships, different crews, each one. I'd
totally agree. I would eat that up, but make them longer than they were.
Yeah, totally love that. We know how little story you can tell in 5 minutes.
Oh God,
Brief aside, tiny aside.
Yeah.
We've seen the Octane render Spock actor with prosthetics on an LED screen in a proper costume. You can literally recreate something. I mean, that looks dated as all hell, but we'd all want to see it in the era. Like, we're not going to re-update, show TMP, we're not going to update it. I mean, all these games, it's not being done. There are ways now of creating those things for tiny, tiny budgets in tiny, tiny ways that would be so creatively interesting. They've proven they can recreate TMP, TOS, and The Cage. They did all three. All flawlessly. Like, obscenely flawlessly.
Yeah.
Like, oh hell. It's shockingly possible. And if they were to do the even broader medium, and obviously if they gave you or me 10,000 episode, we could churn out a full episode, short episode, of these Star Treks for 10K, happily, Yeah.
Matt Boardman, $10. I think that if you use the same style but did minor updates, i.e. materials used, maybe updates to monitors, but not so much of a drastic change to go Mass Effect and right production team, it would work. Yep.
Like I say, I could update TOS and make it applicable for the audience. I know I could. It's not that hard. It's just Strange Worlds is a fresh Trek for new people. It's not trying to be TOS. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's why it's nice to see TOS. I mean, Prodigy. I mean, Nick, did you shed a slight tear when TOS showed up in Prodigy and it was...
Oh, God, yeah.
It was, and they even updated the controls.
I mean, internally.
Oh.
I mean, they did a great job on it. It was great. I mean, it really was great. And that was a definite love letter to the franchise.
It's beautiful. I teared a little bit.
I mean, they definitely need more of that. Even the voice actors for those Enterprisians were great.
Yeah. Mark Lawrence, member for 34 months at the Records Federation president, says I'd pay Paramount Plus an extra $10 a month if they'd host all the fan films on their service. That and lifting the ridiculous restrictions fan films now have time, budget, and cast.
See, I've been saying this for years. The guidelines are guidelines. Nobody is being forced to follow them. None of us have been forced to follow them. Most of us don't follow all of them religiously. Nobody's coming after us.
It's been a couple of years now, Nick. Couple of years.
The guidelines are there so that they have a disclaimer. If they have a problem with someone, they can say, well, here, we've got rules in place. Other than that, they don't care about the guidelines. They're not enforcing the guidelines. They've never planned to enforce the guidelines. They're more a safety net than anything. If you want to make a fan film and work within the guidelines, great, do it. And you can tell great stories within those guidelines. If you want to work outside the guidelines, as long as you're not making a profit off it, I don't think they really care. And I don't think they ever have. At least not in my experience. Did I kill the channel?
Yes, you did.
The whole channel does.
No, good. Yeah. I mean, you say bringing TNG back. I agree with you. I think that would be very popular. But I also agree with Samuel that people would think that it would look dated, unfortunately, which is a shame because it doesn't at all. TNG, I think it's held up very well. So,
because once you start accepting anything old looks old, and rather than a period piece of the time in which the Trek is, everything looks old. Enterprise looks old because the bulkheads are so there's no Grievous on the hull.
I think
it's a real problem. Once the genie's open, you've lost it.
Yeah. I think of the 80s and 90s shows, DS9 is probably the one that has aged best from its visual look because it just had such a unique look to it. And I think the lighting was a bit more interesting on DS9 as well. So I think it's
for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I think DS9. I'm still holding out hope they may remaster DS9 one of these days. I mean, it really deserves it. It really deserves it. And even in what we've got of it, the show still looks fantastic for the time. So yeah, Paramount, if you're listening, please remaster it. I will buy the DVD sets for full price on release day. I will buy them. I won't be the only one. Please do it.
I mean, it's just the space effects. I mean, it's a bigger thing than you think.
Oh, I know. I do understand that, but it really deserves
because
it.
in the same way, as soon as you start saying, "Oh, well, those CGI graphics are dated,"
yeah.
Well, now we have to change the Odo effect. It's dated. Now go and entirely remaster it. Once you start saying we can change the past, everything will be dated in a couple of years. Everything. The idea is you don't change it. TNG Remastered is a faithful recreation update. They could have changed everything. They didn't. Period piece, or it's all throwawayable, and then our canon linking stories become meaningless. Like, how do I utilize Strange New Worlds logic into fan films? Do I say, oh, well, we can use, someone found old hologram tech from the 2150s, or we walk from a TOS Connie into a Strange New Worlds Connie, and it's like, why are the callways 3 times as big? Why are once you start mixing and matching, that's why...
I did find it really funny that Pike didn't like the holograms and ripped them all out, but...
Yeah.
Matt Boardman, member for 19 months at the rank of Admiral. So
my God, didn't realize that.
Happy 19-month anniversary.
As long as the fan films are respectful of CBS and Paramount, then I think they're happy to let sleeping dogs lie.
I think that's very true, and that's certainly my experience, and I think Sam would agree it's his experience as well.
I have a lot of films.
Yeah.
I have a lot of continuing characters, Nick.
Yeah, well, we all do.
Of them.
Yeah, I mean, none of us have actually... I mean, Randy Landers. How many series has he got with how many returning characters? I mean, they're fine with fan films.
I mean,
they're not
if
bothered
they didn't
by
slap
us.
down Farragut, then...
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, exactly.
Because that was a big case study of will they? They probably should. Well,
I didn't think they would. I really didn't think they would.
But if they meant it, they would have.
Oh, yeah,
for that
definitely.
one, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, the guidelines were really only there for one purpose, and we probably shouldn't get into that.
Well, it's 2 Renegades as well. It was just the highest end. It was just to kill the highest end.
It wasn't. That's right. It wasn't just the one, was it? No, I agree with that.
And in fairness, actually, the only one that was actually a scam was Pike, Captain Pike. That actually was a scam.
Yeah, I actually contributed to that one too.
Yeah, so did I. It was only $15, but still.
Yeah.
And then there was Equinox, which I didn't contribute to that because that one was really obviously a scam.
Well, I did contribute one shot to Glenn's finalising of it. So
well,
nice.
Glenn salvaged it to get something out of it, but the guy that was originally making it, I'm pretty sure that was a bit of a scam, or either that or he was utterly nuts and just lost it. I don't know. It felt like a scam.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. All right, gotta go pee. Back in a second.
We didn't need to know that.
Yeah, TMI. Guys, can we get to 100 likes? We're only 14 away. If you haven't hit that like button.
Ooh, we need more likes. Hit the like button, guys.
Yes, and we did get one new member during this live so far. So thank you, the Dark Lord Revan, for joining at the rank of Captain. We appreciate that so much.
Thank you, Dark Lord. Even though I'm not part of the team here, I'm going to thank you anyway, because that is awesome.
You are part of the team, Nick.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
So you said that stuff about TOS.
Hey, I still have those TOS DVD. I have the unremastered original series.
I do
DVDs
too.
still,
I do too.
So,
Yeah, I got the remastered and the unremastered. They're all upstairs. It's proudly displayed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm there with you on that.
And I still
I'll buy what they put out. That's for sure.
Yeah, I still have it on iTunes as well.
Nice. Yeah.
It's nice to watch on iTunes because I can just stream it or download it to my iPad and watch it when I'm traveling.
Mm-hmm.
And TNG, and DS9, and Voyager, and it's a never ending.
On and on.
It's never ending. I bought all these things before Paramount Plus came out as well, and I'm like, there's more money.
You're welcome, Paramount.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, Paramount is making a lot of money out of all of us. Yeah,
all of us suckers that have been around forever.
Yeah, when we all die off, they're gonna suffer big time.
No, that's why they're trying to pull in those new audiences. You see.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Will there ever be a time where we've all died off and they've got completely new audiences who actually don't care that they're revamping everything? I don't know.
No,
maybe.
I think when you pull people in, they get hooked on a thing.
Yeah, probably true.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. How was your piece, Sam? Was it good?
Really good.
I'm glad you're not using wireless mics and you wandered out with it still clipped to you, because that would have been unfortunate.
Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Okay. 6 likes away from 100 now. We're
And
almost
also
there.
the booze is real
6
hitting me.
likes.
Really hitting me, Stuart. Just so you know.
Well, that's probably
yes,
why you
good.
had to go to the loo.
But I'm going to end the poll though with 171 votes. I asked the question right at the start: are we in the golden age of Trek, the best age? 69% no, we're not. 31% yes, we are.
Okay, good.
Mm.
Good pull. Good pull.
Thank you.
Interesting result.
And Murloff says that's why Prodigy got to raise a new generation of fans. Hell yeah. And they're being raised properly because Prodigy's on point with all.
And it's shocking how much canon Prodigy uses, because
Yeah.
I would have done a lot less if I was them, if I was given that brief, because there's so many things in that mean nothing to the new people. A Kazon, etc.
Yeah,
but they're all there because they can, should, would, and they are. But they wouldn't need to be, but they are. It's really interesting.
It's amazing to see the Kazon used in it as well, because that's probably one of people's least favorite races. Who wanted to see the Kazon again?
I did.
But they work in there, and it's interesting. But it's a prime example of what we were saying earlier about having the right people running the show, the right writers who know how to balance this stuff in such a way that you can put a lot of that canon stuff in there if you do it in such a way that your new audience are pulling in sees it, might not understand the relevance, but it doesn't distract them from the story that's being told. That is a really different balancing act.
And then when they go on to watch other Trek, and they're like, I remember that guy or that thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's perfect.
I think it is probably the best new introduction to Star Trek, the broader Star Trek, any show we've got at the moment. It's just really well done, and yeah, I know it's technically aimed at kids, but it doesn't feel like it's aimed at kids at all.
That's how Disney did it. It works on both levels. And even the stuff with Murph, there feels like it's character points. Cute thing doing thing. But are they actually just accidentally activating torpedoes? Or is there sort of an intelligence? It feels more nuanced than just children. Which is very smart.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like Teletubbies.
Because the worst thing about kids' TV is when it's actually for kids. Truly for kids. That mind-numbingly non-enlightened, where the kids will grow up and go back and never watch it again because it really was for children, versus a real show with a child's spin that you can watch as adults, because there's 3 different alternate generations here.
Yeah.
And all 3 of us like it for different reasons, and the new people do. That's a success. Truly. And then you just judge each episode as it comes, because they're going to vary in quality. I mean, I don't know if you've been really keeping up, Nick, but we both said, and we were wrong, but we were giving them credit. We said, oh, well, of course the Tal Shore operatives were going to leave an officer aboard the ship. They weren't all going to leave because they want the ship. Assuming that was going to be a plot point later, because at the start of the season there was an escape pod and that was picked up later. There was a plot point. However, that was we ran out of time. But it felt like, well, that's too obvious a mistake, because of course someone would stay there. Oh. But it's not a Discovery level mistake if they just didn't care. It's we can't address that, but they should have
time to deal with that. No, that's fair enough.
Because why would you leave the whole point is steal the ship? Like, take the ship. Don't put a one-armed guy. But
yeah.
But it's okay for them. It kind of works.
It does kind of work. Yeah.
Oh, did you see the trailer that wasn't meant to come out with the space battle?
Actually, no, I didn't.
You didn't. Oh. So Nickelodeon, the actual channel, released a trailer on its actual TV terrestrial channel, and I'd emailed the writer saying, "Did you mean to release this stuff? Because it's heavy spoilers." He's like, "They didn't tell us."
You did mention that. I haven't seen the trailer though.
Yeah,
and it looks. For it and I couldn't find it.
Those shots are so nice. That centaur looks incredible.
Can you send me those? You haven't sent me that yet.
Well, don't spoil it for yourself. It's coming soon, but it like I've known space battles were coming for a while. But when a sovereign looks that nice and a centaur looks that nice, it's like,
oh, stop it!
Oof, makes me happy on the lower levels, the lower gantry. It
okay.
changes structural integrity in certain areas. So that's gonna be great.
Point your camera down.
I will not.
Yeah.
But they really try. Like, that team, they try so hard
Oh,
And
definitely.
it's so
There's no
visceral.
question.
And there's one little conceit they have, which is visible, but you always forget it, is that every set feels giant. Like, Chakotay's quarters are obscenely big. They're insanity. But Dahl's only like 5'1" or something of the ilk. So everything's going to be out of proportion because you're always seeing from his level. I can't wait to see the sets with the full adult because no one's a full adult in the crew. So there's all, like, when they're holding the Mechcleths in season 1, they're only scaled because they have to be because they can't hold them right. So it breaks certain immersion. There's a certain disconnect. There has to be. It's like you asked, Aaron, is Rocktox com badge the same size? Because it's obviously 3 times the size. It's like,
just ignore that. Yeah.
No. Because there's conceits like that you have to take them, but they're okay for Prodigy because they're trying so hard and you really feel it, you know? Yeah.
No. I mean, they've nothing but respect for the show, and I think that comes through in every episode.
I got some people in the chat saying they haven't watched anything of the animated shows because they don't like animated style. And I'm sorry, but you're missing out on a lot of really great Trek.
It's very true.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sci-fi...
I grew up with an animated series as well, so yeah.
Sci-fi science interest throws in £5. I am still holding out for a show around the era when the Enterprise C was either on a Constellation class or Ambassador class starship.
I would love.
Yeah, we need a
lost.
We need a Lost Era show for sure. Just as long as they don't screw it up visually, would be great.
Yes. Yeah, no Monster Marines with leather delta-y patchy sleeves.
When I first saw that, I'm like, that's great. And then the more I looked, then I'm like, oh.
I mean, it's from an alternate future, so
it is for real. Yeah.
I really wish they get away from all the Delta fabrics. It's just that makes me sad. The Delta fabrics. It's like, why? Just why?
Screw up people like you that cosplay.
Yeah, that's true. I just can't find proper fabric for it, which is depressing.
Apparently it's just like you can actually print that like on it with a silicone type printer.
Yeah. It's not cheap.
Wow. Nope.
Fan films aren't cheap, Nick.
That's true.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. I may have bought another couple of those Chinese costumes just to completely take them apart and just rip the yolks out of them.
As in the Picard ones.
Yeah. I know.
That's fair.
I don't encourage this, guys. He has his own insanity.
I mean, the back of my chair has got like under construction
15 uniforms on
it. This is all stuff that I'm I mean, I'm not working on this, but you know. Yeah. These are all.
Now you've
kind
of made a mess.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's my office. It's always a mess.
Oh, his office is twice filled with stuff that it should be. But it's a fantastic mess though, Nick.
But you know, it
got
has
a good
my
mess.
sewing machine, my lovely sewing machine, which I was using last week. So you know.
Also, you don't want to hand sew again, like on my lovely sets.
Oh, for fuck's sake, no.
Okay.
Who sews these things by hand? Come on.
It's
Okay,
a
you're
tradition.
dad, but
Every giant crossover we do, you have to hand sew something as an emergency. It's twice a year tradition. Every time I got to even trying to invent the problem.
dear
Nick,
God,
fix this uniform for us. I'm not even going to use. Please.
No, just no.
And then last time Emma's like, "Why are my sleeves so long? Because it's made for Alexa now."
Yeah.
Wow. Danny Janey just threw in $100 super chat. Thank you, Danny Janey. 2 shots for each of you. Thanks for the great content.
Well, shit.
Well, all right, here we go.
Okay, Nick. Now you're watching our bladders get hurt. Ready?
Hold on.
Pretend I'm taking a shot here, because I mean, I could go and get a drink, but I'm not going to because
Oh, yes, Nick. This is the Copperberg vodka.
Oh wow, strawberry and lime. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously shitty vodka still, but it has got that taste. Oh god. And this is a Drunkyards, Nick. So we do these for many hours to generate extra income for ourselves, to try and balance out the month. So it's doing well right now, guys. But we are still looking for about another $300 with our pain.
Ooh.
Yeah. So any help, Daniel, amazing. Don't really help there, but we're still about 300. The pain is still real, you know.
We'll be later for sure. Wow.
Yep.
See, you know, this is the interesting thing. I'm the only one not drinking. I don't get hangovers.
You should be drinking then.
I have never had a hangover in my life.
You got weird genetics.
I guess I do. Just
Weird
lucky. Many people would argue weird genetics. But yeah.
Is it worse? You find it's worse the older you get, though. Even just
I haven't found that actually.
No?
I find that I'm less able to cope with less. I used to be able to run on like 3 or 4 hours sleep a night when I was younger. Now it's not nearly so easy to do that. I need 4 to 6. Now I can get by with 5 or 6. I can struggle through with 4. I really would like 7 or 8, but most days I'm usually running on about 6 hours sleep anyway. But that is a lot harder at my age than it was even 10 years ago. But yeah, alcohol wise, it doesn't. Yeah, I don't drink very often, so it doesn't take me that long to get drunk. But I've never had a hangover. I know.
That sounds like a challenge for when I come visit.
See, part of the trick is I do know when to stop drinking as well.
Yeah, that's also good. Yeah.
But even on those occasions where I haven't stopped, I've never had a hangover. The worst I've had is like a bit dehydrated the next day.
Yeah, see, we don't have a choice with these Drunkyards because the people dictate.
No.
We literally give up our power of choice. Because if someone gives us like 300, we are going to hurt ourselves. But it pays for Christmas, which helps our families. So
That's a good point.
It's a pain, it's a pleasure, it's a community service. And booze.
No, I think that's perfectly reasonable. Yeah. Community service. Your suffering is community service.
Yes.
Yeah, the audience needs to think of new ways to make you suffer, though. I think.
No, yeah, I've thought of different like dice games or something where like each roll is a different thing.
No, I mean actually make you suffer.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
You know, electroshock therapy or
Yeah.
I
did
did not get the peanuts at Five Guys. We never got to Five Guys while we were in America last time. Next time, definitely next time.
Five Guys is great, man.
I love Five Guys. We have a Five Guys in Dundee's. They did not have the peanuts though.
You like Five Guys in your mouth, do you, Nick? Is that like official on this live?
I see what you did there.
Or 2 Klingons and a human, I guess. I don't know.
I did have a Five Guys experience on Sunday. I did put a small Five Guys in my mouth. And then I kept filling it with extra matter. You know, the small creamy sticks that dissolve in your mouth. I kept throwing them in my mouth, and I kept chewing, nobbling on them, you could say. I slurped up the juice that came with it. I filled it, and I just slurped it right down. I sucked on it, you could say, through a cylindrical tube. I sucked hard. And at the end of my Five Guys experience, I was really pleasured by the sensation of all of the Five Guys in my stomach.
Okay.
Matt says he has one right across the street from him in LA, and I have one
Five Guys is very good.
a couple blocks away, so it's good stuff.
Now, if that doesn't get a donation of $10, a super chat for that soliloquy of class,
that needs to be clipped and re-edited.
Oh,
saying all the
I'm sure it will be. Oh, well, my stuff's falling. My office is falling apart. Excuse me for a minute, yeah.
Sorry about that, Nick.
Sorry.
Happen.
Okay. Perfect. Sorry, it's where I have Christmas presents hidden, and they were all falling out, so I had to like shove them back in.
Yeah, I understand that. Penny.
Yeah, not enough space. Right. Well, that was funny.
Matt is like, what in the world is going on?
Oh, he knows. He knows what I'm up.
Little bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah.
That's what
With
I had.
barbecue sauce.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Yep.
I love
And
Five.
Because I probably order that now tonight.
I don't even eat beef burgers, and I like a Five Guys burger.
It's because you can taste the quality of the ingredients. It might not be
Oh,
the most
yeah, agree.
flavorful of burgers, but you know everything is really top proper quality. You're paying for it,
Yeah.
but it's so
Oh, yeah.
fresh and it's so good. It's a
And they
weird.
just fill the bag with fries.
Oh, so
Oh,
satisfying.
they do. Even
so
my
many fries,
daughter
and they're so good.
likes Five Guys. But if Sam and I go, not my Sam, not this Sam, my daughter Sam, if we go to Five Guys because she likes to go there for a treat, we're like over 30 quid for like 2 burgers, 1 large fries, and a couple of Cokes, and we're like, holy cramola for that. Yeah, that's not a cheap treat.
No.
I mean, I
Thirst
could
Contact,
buy a whole costume for that.
Thirst Contact says this live gives new meaning to Five Guys milkshakes.
So much creamy goodness.
Our audience, I don't know, man.
You should probably have oh god, I've forgotten his name.
No, don't bring up
drunk.
again. Stop talking about Giles every bloody time I see you. It's always about the porn with you.
I wasn't thinking of Giles.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking of Sean Ferrick.
Well,
Yes. And Tara says it's been a while since I've had Five Guys. Winky face. Wow.
Cow cuteness is certainly a thing, but no, I'm just not a huge fan of red meat.
Yeah.
would you like a beefcake?
No. No.
Wow, this went somewhere.
It did. Right. On that happy note, I should probably be signing off because it's already 10:15 here and I've been on far longer than I planned.
Oh, we didn't keep
Well,
you. You
thank
just couldn't
Well,
leave us.
I was having a laugh. I hope you'll have me back on for another one of these. Maybe I'll join you for Drunkyards properly next time.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I
It
was just
would
going
be.
to say, you're welcome back anytime. These are always the funnest.
They
So,
are.
Thank you. Thank you for
No,
joining us.
totally.
Do you
Thank
think
you. Having
do you
What?
think your
No, go on.
accent? Do you think your accent gets stronger when you drink?
mine. No.
Okay.
Um,
Because that'd be
I
funny
don't
if we
think
did.
so. Anyway, I don't think so.
I mean, I have
Um,
drunk with you, so I do know it doesn't. But like, it'd be kind of funny if we just
Yeah.
started hammering shots and just like,
No, I don't think
oh,
so.
'cause the fucking Picard season 2 is
But
there.
I'm not Scottish though.
Will
so
you get Scottish when you drink?
maybe the English accent comes out more.
Oh, actually, last question. Can you get something green if you drunk yours with us and just drink green for a while?
Yeah, Maduri. Love Maduri.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Nick, for joining us. It was great to
Thank
have
you for having me. This has
Yes.
been quite a laugh, actually.
Yes.
I do like fish and chips gorgonzola.
good.
I'm actually more of
Good
a
one.
pizza or curry guy.
We've had them
Chinese.
all together. We've had all those 5 things together.
We have indeed.
We've had a
And it's
few
been delightful every time.
Oh. And I'll
Right.
see
On
you
that
soon,
happy note,
probably.
I will sign off. But thank you for having me, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. And happy drunkyarding.
Thank you. Good night, Nick.
Good night. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And then swap the old cars around just to me and Stuart.
Should have put him in the big window.
Yeah.
Highlighted his messy room.
He's too... it'd go to his head though, wouldn't it? You know.
Yeah, but the big window's just a big goofy picture. We need to do stuff in there during this Drunkyards. I think that was disgusting. That was better. That cleared it out.
Thank you. All right. Let me do a new poll. Let's do the same poll again. See who votes a second.
Sure. Why not?
That's the stupidest. I don't want to do that. It's too stupid. Oh God. Okay. I got a question. Okay.
If you got a poll, that's good. Guys,
Yeah.
hit that like button. We got over 100 likes, which is awesome. This has been an interesting live for sure. So, damn. Sam should show the Romulan D7 in the big window, says Matt.
It's not been announced yet. It's not my
Has been
role.
now.
Well, it's not my show, man. It's their show. I can't announce their ship.
RR says, put a thumbs up if you want to see us Trekyards and Star Wars Theory crossover show.
Ooh.
Hey, I'd be down for speaking of Star Wars
Yeah.
Theory.
Seems like a...
It'd be fun.
He's a smart guy. Like, he
Yes.
could lure the shit out of us. Be a fun debate. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's also
suggest it to him.
Also Canadian. So, you know.
Is he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Still lives in Canada. He did not do the LA move. Still in Canada.
Really?
Mhm.
Is he in Vancouver then?
I think
Probably,
just
probably the
some-
other side of the country.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's in just some generic town. I don't think he's anywhere central.
Huh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
He doesn't.
Something new every day.
He doesn't sound like it. He just sounds like accent. I wouldn't have been a place's accent either. Sounds Americanish to me, but
Mhm.
I've heard your accents for so long; they kind of blend.
But
Honestly,
do I sound Canadian?
I mean, not most of the time, but you don't necessarily sound American. But I would have said you're more American than English, so I wouldn't have defaulted Canadian if I was just meeting you.
Okay.
Because you sort of assume if you're not English but English sounding and you're sort of American-ish, you're American. Because there's lots of America. There's so many different variants.
Yeah. What if I would have said I was a Naboot?
I would say you're from South Park, yeah. Well, no, you haven't said buddy. You haven't said buddy, so I guess not.
Yeah, he's on the West Coast, so he's on the other side of the country, and he's planning on moving to Hawaii at some point, possibly. So,
Okay, cool. That's random.
Casual Trekker throws in $10.
Ooh, there you go.
How often do you guys do guest people to talk about Star Trek? Does the person have to be established Star Trek personality with a following or something, i.e. lore, reloaded, or Trek culture? We've had Trek culture on, we've had lore reloaded on, we've had Salty Trekker on, we've had... They have to know something about Star Trek. Yeah, generally it's somebody that is known in some kind of community, so...
I mean, I'm very not against having random people on the... I mean, especially from our community, because you're not random, are you? You're our community. Yeah. I mean, we did attempt this once. This audience...
Rob Burnett called in, too.
Yep, and it was a giant clusterfuck of giant clusterfuckian proportions.
We just shared the link for the information, and everybody was like in line waiting, and it's just like it was a pain. Yeah, it didn't go well. That was for one of our anniversary specials.
It was, because the way of people needing, didn't really work. But I'd be able to have random fans on, doing it celebratory live or drunk. I mean, Drunkyards are perfect, especially if they come drunk, or at least come with Drunkyards.
Well, we had Starfleet Boy on, and he got pretty wasted. So much so he passed out during his Text Trek stream.
Yes.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Sylvia just asked who wants to see her get drunk. Speaking of, yeah, me and you have to do a live soon because we haven't done one in a while.
I'm off work next week.
I know you are. So I was thinking of soon, maybe before the end of the month, me and Sylvia will do a live stream at some point. Because those are always fun. Skeleton Hands.
Oh my god.
Speaking of, Ozzy hasn't been around in this live. What the hell? He's probably watching the game. Oh, the game's over, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, yeah. Chuck appeared. But yeah, Ozzy has not, as far as I remember.
Bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
What's bullshit?
Football match.
Oh, who cares?
That's true.
Nobody cares about your balls. Care about mine.
That's true.
If there's context that Samuel wants everyone to come drunk, with cum spelled C-U-M. I mean... Sorry, you're going to say something? What?
Right. No, was oh yeah, so Nick threw out a whole lot of arguments.
And he was wrong on a lot of them.
Well, let me ask the question first. Were you convinced by any of the arguments?
Yes, I was.
Ooh.
Yeah, I do have an open mind in that regard, but the TOS thing is, it's his opinion, and that's fine. That's the opinion of a lot of people. So a lot of people are like, I agree with Nick, but it's not going to change my mind on that one. Unfortunately, I agree with him in some regards, but there's a nice middle ground there between TOS look and modern look, which can be accomplished quite easily. Strange New Worlds has come very good and done a very good job with that, but it's still too far off the mark to be the prime timeline. So
it's so tricky because, as I said, once you start allowing things to be altered from the past, it sets a precedent of anything can, and I don't think Nick quite accepted it, but literally there are people today who would say TNG looks too dated to be on TV, who would take the Enterprise D and say it has to be redone, no carpets, the walls are the wrong colour, LCARs aren't busy enough. They would say that, and then any show made by them would be radically different. And then people who love TNG, who don't think it looks dated, would be forced to feel how we feel about TOS. And I'm not the age range of TOS. So I'm not the 60-year-old who would say it's my Star Trek. I just believe in all Trek being the canon of what it's been set out to be. So it's like as soon as they come for you, you'll react back. But that will happen. There are people today. But TNG does not date a single damn day. It looks superb on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
It looks what it looks like. Doesn't look necessarily modern, but there are CG effects from 2010 which now look old. The special editions in Star Wars, some of the CG looks terribly dated.
Yeah, I know.
Right, so it's a very dangerous slope to do, and I genuinely believe I could remake with my team. Say we all got full-time money, I could entirely redesign TOS, be entirely acceptable for a modern audience in less than a month. Every single set to an acceptable degree that both of us would accept. And if you accept, I know I've got a good thing. And do you think I could do it?
I know you could.
Okay.
You need my input though.
Mm-hmm.
I have good ideas.
Yes.
Just saying.
It's not hard. It's not hard.
And Tara says, "What's the longest show you've ever done on a Drunkyards? What, like 6 hours?"
6 hours, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. As long as you guys keep supercharging to encourage our bladders to die, I mean, that's the thing. We would love, I'll be honest, on $250, that would be golden. So that's 10 20s. 100 would be amazing. I mean, there is booze left to drink. You know, we have more to discuss, more things to say. You guys have been amazing. But also, vote in the polls shit.
Oh yeah, there's a new poll. I should probably read that shit. In Disco Season 1, did you buy Discovery-themed merchandise, excluding Eagle Moss ships? Yes, I bought merchandise, or no, never bought anything. See, I would have bought action figures. I still want a Tilly action figure. I still want a Stamets action figure, Lorca. I would have bought the shit out of those. They had a Saru and a Michael Burnham from McFarlane Toys.
Yes,
they were going to do a phaser, but the phaser got canceled. So I had that on pre-order from Big Bad Toy Store.
Do you remember the official reason?
No, what was the official reason?
Really? Oh my god! The official reason for cancelled is because too much like a gun to be sold internationally.
Wow.
I mean, that's so unbelievable. It's insane, right?
Yeah.
That is the most excuse of excuses.
Yeah, even the Mego guys, they got Michael Burnham and Saru. Those are the only two that they have. I don't know, man. I know that Playmates they have Prodigy toys in the works, which would be great. Action figures and a Protostar. I want to see those. They could make a Discovery. Like, Playmates back in the day, the Playmates ships are pretty incredible. Let's be fair. They had a lot of them too, and they had a lot of the props. They had a Cardassian like hand weapon. They had a whole bunch of stuff. We need that again. And
well,
that's where it's lacking, in my opinion.
I mean, it's so remarkable, the idea that certain things are very sellable. Eagle Moss ships, obviously, although limited market, fifth pillar design, hand weapons sell. I get we're not the 90s and selling guns is a bit more dodge, fine. But you should be making every single phaser in toy form. As soon as they're commissioned by the studio, you send it to Playmates or whoever, you make a cheap plastic toy, cheap relatively speaking, $30, you make the entire line, every new season, one launches, you would get thousands of sales on day one, every single phaser, just for cosplayers. Do you know how many people have uniforms? How many of us have resorted to 3D printed fan things because we want a real phaser? And they should be more accurate. They have the original mold. Like, that is the easiest thing to sell because people understand a physical proper. Action figures, it's a weird, it's a market, like, but phasers, like, it's such a broad, like, my parents bought them for me, the 5-year-old, the 10-year-old. Like, there's something about a kinetic thing or a tricorder. You know, it's, I mean, Strange Worlds, as soon as they come out, there should have been physical buy props. They were great items. Should have been there. They're not even that hard, you know. The 3, you sell all 3 items $50. Tricorder, phaser, and communicator $50 on sale right now. Bosh.
The thing is,
done.
The market's changed a lot. Kids don't buy toys.
I was going to say to Nick earlier. Yeah.
Kids don't buy toys like they used to. They consume media in a different way now, and they have their iPads or their iPhones that they watch stuff. They participate that way. They play mobile games. They don't play with action figures as much as kids obviously back in my day did. So it's a different market. Plus, also, you put on top of that, as you said, the 3D printers, people making their own files or buying files offline to print their own stuff, paint it the way they like. I can see that taking a big chunk out of toy sales and merchandising and stuff, but not enough to warrant it, in my opinion. But it's a different era, it's a different time now.
Oh man, that is such a fair point. I mean, action figures have almost become caricaturian of, like, there's like Star Wars, they sell the black action figures, the high end ones for collectors, the black adults series, who were kids when the original ones were out. Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I have kids, which won't be, you know, that far away, I'm 29, I won't be, you know, like, are they going to play with action figures? I couldn't see it. Legos, because that's different, but like action figures, there's something. I mean, I never did really ever, and I was certainly in the age range that could have. I just wasn't really my thing. Legos was absolutely my thing. I didn't have a video game console. I was like, whatever. Like, that wasn't me either. But like action figures, just the idea of like having a Luke and Leia, right, and going pew pew, versus a Lego set where I can create everything on the fly and recreate. Like, that to me is 5,000% more exciting, even if it's smaller and whatever in. So yeah.
I'm the opposite.
Oh really?
So I grew up with action figures. I grew up with the Star Wars ones and G.I. Joe. I was big into that. It was fun playing in the backyard with the G.I. Joe figures and stuff. But you have to hit the right age range, because once you hit a certain age range, you don't want to do that anymore. But I think those people that did that back in the day, like my age, now buy the expensive action figures to put on the shelf to have that kind of nostalgic feel.
Which are incredible. We were a very, very high end a sci-fi store, and I mean they had £250, 320 American Luke, and you're like, that fabric is real fabric, like proper, like wow. Never gonna buy it.
Remember when we went to visit Ken Pelko and all of his figures that he had on display? Yeah, he had a nice collection. Like, it's big business. Even Rob Burnett has a lot of the larger action figures that we saw.
He loves them. He loves them.
Yeah.
And I have bought many Exo 6s, which is weird because I'm not an action figure guy. And I appreciate, I can't remember what the main guy's name is, but he says they're not action figures, they're museum quality figures. And they are definitely a level above. I've got Data, which I didn't get the first time, but I ended up getting on a second run because I just had to at the end of the day. I got Janeway, I got EMH, and I've got Archer and Cisco. Cisco should have arrived by now. He hasn't. He'll arrive at some point, and Archer's yet to be released, because they are very, very good quality. I do recognize that, and I'm not really a display piece person, but I have the real costumes. I relate to them in a certain way, and I know how good they are in miniature form. I know how good. I mean, the Tricorder is exquisite, right? They're really, really good pieces. It almost feels criminal not to buy them, right? But my mentality is I'm not collecting the set, because that's expensive as all hell, and I did not buy Kirk or Spock. Spock was released today, and I could have bought it. I was in the window, but I didn't. But my philosophy, personally, with those is I will get a new one if it's a costume I haven't already got, and there are physical props with it that are unique. Because I'm hoping that, like an Enterprise phase pistol, I could throw on a Janeway and see how she looks. That's my logic. So when the Twok, I mean, I'll probably buy all the Twoks because those look superb. Or like Star Trek 3 villain, But I don't care about buying like the 3 heroes of whatever. Like that's not really what I'm vibing. But having like the feel of the variety of a line, I kind of like, and having all the props in miniature, because now I will have had the compression rifle from Janeway, the first contact phaser rifle from Data, and the TNG phaser rifle from Cisco. They're all very, very good versions, and I've got all 3 phaser rifles. Right, that's exciting to me as a fan. How can I get them anywhere else? So that's my collection point. I'm not a figure person, never have been, but they're just at the right price point for me. Like just right at that line. Have you managed to order any? Have you zoned into any so far?
I have not got any of the Exo-6. I would love to.
Oh, see you Tara.
I really want the Kirk and Spock with the Monster Maroon.
Oh, that's gonna be a huge run. I mean, that's gonna be so.
And when is that? Because I don't want to miss that.
I mean, next year. They've said next year. But they've even admitted that their lines are so small. Like their 7 of 9 line, they don't want the suppliers don't do a second run because the orders are relatively small. I mean, I'm not into the secularization of 7, so I don't zone into that. Get it because. But Wrath of Khan costume, that's like 100%. I'm there, especially if the phaser comes with it and the tricorder, and then like Locutus or Q. They both came out recently as well, and I don't care about getting a Locutus figure. Doesn't matter how nice it looks. It's like I'm not gonna, And Q is like great. Q in TNG costume, maybe, but no.
No, I hear you. Some just resonate better with you. Like I wouldn't mind getting a Locutus figure because it's so intricate, right?
Yeah.
I think an alcove with it.
They are doing alcoves,
well. Yeah. So, and I just saw something about the captain's chair, the Enterprise E captain's chair, that they're not going to be making them because the orders didn't come in or something.
The second run.
They're not doing a second run.
Yeah. I mean, everything Exo-6 is buy when you see it. Like, don't wait. Don't wait. Like, they were surprised to do a second run of Picard and Data because they had some leftover stock, which is not the normal situation, so that's why I was able to get a Data. I actively did not get Picard because the likeness is too shit. It does not like Patrick. Brent's pretty damn close. But I know for a fact that when they... Because I heard the story that years ago in the 90s, even though they have the rights, of course, to Kirk and Spock, they didn't technically have the fully owned rights of Shatner and Nimoy. There are lines in that sand. So Shatner and Nimoy both sold their full rights, their likenesses, roughly at the same time for a large lump sum. At that point, CBS owned their faces, right? Mm-hmm. In the convention circuit, Janeway is Janeway, Scobacula, Michael Burnham's Michael Burnham. Picard is this weird guy, this weird bald guy. Same image. That is not Patrick Stewart. So I'm 100% convinced that he has not actually fully signed off his likeness, or it'd be too expensive to get every time, because that is an unacceptable version of Patrick Stewart, in my opinion. And why is he the only one that doesn't work? Why?
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that, but I'm not going to buy that does not look like Patrick Stewart. And I'm assuming they have not owned his likeness enough to do it. Let me see if I can find the picture, because it is terrible. Like,
well, I'm on the Exo-6 thing right now on my phone. I don't see the Monster Maroon option.
No, they don't. No, they're not open yet. Like, so the man previews everything, and then he tells you like the day in advance of when it's going to go live, but he doesn't actually. Yeah, you won't know until basically the day. So I would join the Exo-6 site on Facebook because they post a lot, and like I see the things like the day, and they're often sold out by 2 hours later. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Len Nimoy TMP sold out within 2 hours.
Wow.
And not he's sort of bragging, but fair enough. He says that the owner of the company says that he believes that based on projections, that after the first run goes out and the people who wish they got it would try and get it, they'll triple in price or in value.
Yeah.
That's his estimation.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah.
That's the problem, because now I feel like I missed out if I don't get one, etc. So it's an interesting feeling. Have any of you got the EXO? But I do think, the Rathakan are going to sell absolute massive amounts, as will the Krug, because that one is incredible. They just released Cork, and the Lux is fine. I didn't buy it. And they're going to release Kira, I believe, soon. They said a Bajoran. I assume it's Kira. But yeah, Rathakan's going to sell. Krug's going to sell. They've got. If they continue what they're going to do, they're going to do 2 different versions of the TNG uniform people, which is insane. But he's such an insane man that he's doing it anyway, right? Because
screen accurate and
yes,
I saw those examples of all that stuff in Chicago.
Yeah,
when I was at the Chicago Con, I was actually talking to the guy that does them.
Amazing.
And it's insane the way that they look different in the display case.
Yeah.
So one's screen accurate based on how it looks on TV, the other one's prop accurate, like how it looks in person. Yeah. And
as someone who has costumes, they do affect differently. It's a tricky thing. What do I want to have? I really like the wine red personally. I think it looks more real. I find almost all the cosplay costumes, you have to lower the brightness in post. They're too vibrant, It's a small thing, but it's worth doing. So you haven't got any of them, the X06?
None.
Yeah. Because I can't afford them, but I'm like, yeah, but you can't get them again. It's like if you don't get them, if you don't make that investment, they're gone, right?
See, my plan when I saw them in person, I really want the Monster Maroon ones.
Yeah.
And I also want Krug, because Krug is fantastic.
It honestly, it's jaw dropping. Honestly, it's how to make it look that good. And the guy that owns the company, he is so perfectionist. He actually took down what I would consider a 85-90% there sculpt to say, we're gonna do it better.
Yeah,
we'll do it again and do it better. It's like, but that's real good. That was absolutely good enough. So good for him, because he wants to.
Good enough isn't good enough for him.
Yes, because he wants to retire. Like he has a very specific window, really. That's why he's burning. I mean, he's done 5, 6 in 3 months. I mean, an insane level of production. But he wants to do them out and then move on to his next project. It's not a 10-year. It's a 5-year project. He's already in year 2.
Yeah.
Or 4-year. Yeah.
No, there's definitely some I want, but I don't know. You'll find them on the secondary market, but they will be ramped up in price for sure.
Because $175 is a good price.
Yeah.
200, and then 300-400 now. I would never pay that for that.
There's a certain point where just a little too much. Like some things, I find a lot of things that I really want are like just $20 too much.
Yeah.
I know it's only $20, but it's just that it just seems a little bit greedy on their part, But
it's like
I get it.
It's like Lego. Lego is too expensive. It is. It's just fundamental. Like £80, $100 for.
This was 130 Canadian for BB-8.
It does not cost that.
Or sorry, BD-1. BD-1.
Yeah, that must cost like 10 pence to make, because they do super bulk. But obviously the quality is fantastic. Like you can't. They are the standard, right? So fine. But I don't know. They can charge up some markup. Yeah. I mean, how have they never done Star Trek Lego? That to me is astounding. If they did Star Trek Lego, like
they got the Brickworks or whatever, the German ones, and the Mega Blocks, which I got the Enterprise up there, is actually really, really great. But
real.
I also got the D7.
Oh yeah. But why not real Lego? I know Lego is very careful with their brand image. Star Trek is entirely in their brand image.
Yeah, maybe a competition clause with Star Wars.
Because they must have made billions on Star Wars. That's like their bread and butter.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, can you imagine Star Trek minifigures and Star Trek sets and the aliens? I mean, honestly, if they would make official Star Trek Lego, I'd buy every single bridge crew. Honestly, I'd have to be a bit obsessive with it because I like Lego a lot. I'd have to buy every version of sets just to get the entire 8 crew, because they never sell them individually. That's one of their big pissing me off. So you have to buy a big set to get a unique minifigure, because they don't do them separately. But throw me £100 for an Enterprise D bridge in Lego with all laid up people. Fine, okay, I'll throw it down. Like that is absolutely something I'd buy. You know, and imagine like little proper minifig LCARS display on little screens. That'd be so cute. You know, with little chairs that come out at the back. Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, the Star Wars has Mega Bloks has done that, and so has Creo.
Yeah,
I got some of the Creo sets as well, but the figures are very cool looking, but they're not Lego figures.
Yeah,
because they're more like bulked up. They got more articulation.
Because could you even imagine a world without the Star Wars Lego? It's so synonymous in quality and style. You know, I mean, did you have Star Wars Lego when you were a kid? I mean, it's been going that long.
Yeah, I had a big tub of Lego.
But like Star Wars Lego specifically?
No, not back then.
Okay.
There was the space Lego sets and stuff that we had.
Did you ever get Star Wars Lego then? Ooh, well, you missed it. Oh,
I've got an ATST upstairs in the ready room, but all that stuff I've acquired within like the last 10 years. So I don't know when they got the license for Star Wars. It wasn't back when I was a kid, I can tell you that, because they didn't have that stuff back then. Yeah. Blue Bricks is the name. Yes, that's the one. Gorgonzola said, I just offered the commander one of my sets once I upgrade to the new version, but he hasn't responded yet. How did you contact him?
It doesn't ring a bell. I feel like there's an empty space in my brain saying, huh?
We get a lot of emails. We get a lot of messages. I gotta say that.
And
Speaking of, what did you think before we continue?
Email trekyards@hotmail.com.
Yes. Trekyards@hotmail.com.
Yes.
What did you think of the STL file that I sent you? Was it good?
Yes.
Is it usable? Is it usable for anything you could use it for?
Usable's a whole different question, obviously. Let me reopen it.
Yes. I wasn't sure. I just thought I would send it to you.
It's funny because I mean, if Matt's in the audience, I thought you'd somehow sent me Robert's file, and I was like, oh, it was Robert's. That's fine. Because I have 3 space docks.
I wasn't sure, so.
Let me open it up.
It's going to be a model kit. He's got to cut it apart, so.
Because model kits are great because you have to do a good quality. Oh, I like the under. Have you opened up? Well, can you?
Yeah, I have it open up right now. Yes.
Ooh, and like a free viewer.
Yep.
Ooh, I really like the. This is so niche. Like the fact I'm saying this feels so nerdy because, like, but that's why inside just thought the second tier of you know bulbousness. I absolutely love the under pointy grilling thing on the outer edge of that second tier. That's real nice. I don't know if that's normal because I don't know if I recognize that before. I really like that. That's nice. That stands out to me. I know people can't see it right now, but I like all the windows are real as well. It's a nice touch.
That's the thing. This is for 3D printing, so.
I mean, the on the main area, the under things are entirely basic polys that would not fly in my world. And it's weird. Some areas are really nice, some areas are really basic. Oh, that's so weird. I mean, I can't use it for anything, no, but it's obvious to see it.
I'll tell them you hate it.
Please don't do that. No, it's nice. For a 3D print, it's really solid. Like, he's really prioritized a good level of detail. I think he's really proud of this, for real. But for 3D, you instantly see the CG-ness of it in a few areas. But those are the areas that I would see. Like, my brain goes... But in reality, you wouldn't see them. You wouldn't even think about it. But, like, I'm zooming in further than you physically could with a model kit, right? So...
Yeah.
It's really nice, though. It has a weight to it. And he's exaggerated certain plate lines, so they're bigger than they should be, but they work really well for the scale I'm envisioning he's doing. So, yeah, really good job, just not 3D ready.
And Gorgonzola says, I had just written in the chat a few minutes ago, as I got the idea. But by the way, I didn't get an answer yet on my email about the poster. What's the name on the email?
Poster? Is this a trekyards@hotmail.com email? Because I'm zoning. I'm blanking on this. poster?
This is the way. I'm just painting all over this space dock right now.
Forward the same email, trekyards@hotmail.com right now, so I'll be straight to the top, so I can say, do I actually remember this? Because I don't always catch emails on that account.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of junk email that goes to that really bad spammy email. It's kind of weird.
Dear me. Okay.
I just painted it blue. This is fun.
Back to I win the golden age, Stuart. Do you think, assuming, now there's some caveats, right? Let's assume Picard season 3 is actually really good, right? Like, better than the last 2 seasons, awesome. Season 5 of Discovery is a strong season, not amazing, but strong. Prodigy improves, and Lower Decks finally pays off some of its plot lines. Successfully, right? So good on all fronts.
Mm-hmm.
With those things in the production line, are we in a golden age? Or is the quality of TNG, DS9 and Voyager as a relatively close barrel of things going to overshadow whatever they can create?
I think they're going to still be overshadowing anything they create. Like you said, the visual continuity of all those shows at the same time, all the games that tied into them, again, maintaining that visual continuity. They need to really ramp up their game merchandise-wise, in my opinion, and game-wise. And let's see some longevity from some of these shows. Because right now it's still pretty early on in the whole thing. Season 1 of Prodigy. Season 2 of Stranger Worlds is coming out. So it's still... This is something that should be revisited in like a couple of years. Once Discovery is finished and, see how the finale of that is and things like that. Honestly, it's still a Silver Age for me. It's not bad that I say Silver Age. People, I think, take that as an insult. It is in no way an insult. Even the Silver Age of comics, like, they get so many of the characters that were part of the main stories in the Golden Age and now have their own lines of comics. And those also have other new characters. So it's just a different playing field.
Well, and it's also like there's clearly a best era of movies where the most iconic movies of all time came out. It's not to devalue. If we say we're in a second golden age of movies or a silver age, it's because there was such a top tier. It would be hard pressed to beat the clarity of beauty of Aliens and T2 and Die Hard. Those three are going to be universally loved forever, I think. Like, those three probably aren't going to age almost at all. Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, Avatar, while as cool as it is for me, the blur of the CG versus the incomparable, right? Even for a new audience.
Bye, Tara.
Bye, Tara. You've been with us for a long time. We love having you here. About 3 hours you were with us. Give or take. 2 hours, 2.5. Crazy. Come back again soon. Every Friday we do our live on the new Prodigy episode. Come back and see us at 9 p.m. GMT to 11 p.m. / 4 p.m. Eastern. There's the pimp. Pitch. There you go.
Well, you're pimping it out, so it's fine.
Well, yes, fair. But no, I do think it's well, the second question then. What could these shows do to beat the Golden Age? Is there anything they can do? Because if a TNG reunion isn't going to do it... See?
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know, man. Give us a good Lost Era show. Give us an anthology show.
But they'll be derivative, though. They won't be...
I know, but you can... It's just pure saturation of, like, cool stuff. Want something for everybody, and yeah, please ramp up your merchandise, guys.
Which is funny, because you're saying to beat the last Golden Era, which only had 2 shows...
Quality over quantity.
With quality over quantity, exactly. And now you want quantity with quality over quality.
Yes. Yeah, you need both to overshadow the original. I'm sorry.
But it's very similar to saying, right, when will the next Stuck in a Building film to beat Die Hard come out? And the answer is it will not.
Well,
They will not. So why try and compete on that
it's lightning in a
level?
bottle. You can't capture that.
Exactly. TNG is a insanely good show. It is shocking. They cast perfect actors, and when they're on fire, it is definitive science fiction, truly definitive. TOS is mostly definitive, but it has some just age problems that, it's of an era, but it's pretty close to being definitive too. None of these things are going to fit the same definitive thing. No one's going to look at Discovery Season 2 and think, oh, that was a definitive season. It's like, oh, Pike was good. What about Michael Burnham? Well, Pike was good. Picard Season 1, well, Frakes was good. Well, Picard, he was old. These aren't going to... And Data seems... I always hear Data's death was good and Frakes was great. What about the season? Oh, those things aren't about Picard. They're about Nemesis, post-Nemesis show, I don't think there's anything they can do to be the next Golden Age, because the Golden Age is by definition the simplest, cleanest, best era. What's exciting is when these new shows link to the old shows, is to utilize the old canon and develop and extend. Seeing Sealer come back, for example, would be such a good expansion. Seeing the TOS and Prodigy, seeing Discovery fight some aliens that we've known before, extending on the canon to utilize the universe that we saw in the Golden Age and develop it and actively improve our knowledge of the past, because you can hurt the old shows like Gorn now eat their own babies, blah 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 blah. It's like, but Gorn kebab man. Oh. Or you can improve things. Like the Kazon made it all the way to the Alpha Quadrant. That's really cool. That's a fun thing. Oh, they did slave on people, fine, but
Yeah, I don't think they'll be able to recapture it. It's a Silver Age, and it's fine. I'm fine with that.
Okay, Sergeant Roadkill. I counter the Die Hard comparison. Both Raid and Dread did being trapped building with the bad guys, I guess, especially well. Yeah, but Dread is not remotely comparable to Die Hard.
No.
Like
It's a different genre.
I wasn't saying literally in a building. Like, that's the basic premise, but like the function of the story. Like, Die Hard's still a better film than Dread, but they're different films. They're different genres. On sci-fi, one's brutal, one's more. Yeah, I mean, if you're going that, it's like saying two things in an oil refinery. But I wasn't being that literal. And Dread's great, but I wouldn't call it as good as Die Hard.
It's as good in a different way.
Well, that's the
genre. It's hard to.
Well, yeah, it's like
oranges again.
Yeah, it's like, what's better, Aliens or Terminator? Well, they're T2. They're different. They're both excellent in different ways. It's yeah. Like I could rewatch Die Hard 5 times in one day. I would not choose to watch Dread 5 times in a day. I can watch it twice. I can watch it 5 times.
Dread's better because I have it in 3D. Sergeant Roadkill, 10 pounds. Extra dosh for the team, thank you. Got to get off as a pile of Roman coins awaits me at work tomorrow. Also, at Sam, I'll send you the ship names for the Indigo War this week.
Thank you. Yes, I'm going to be following up with people probably the weekend. God, it took me 2 weeks to get the thank you video out. I don't know if you saw that, Stuart, but we finally got the thank you video out because
I didn't see that.
Last week, every single client I had who had to pause for bloody 3 weeks all said to me, "Hey, are you doing my work yet?" And I said, I guess. Shit, okay. So I finally got to make the thank you video today. So go watch that. It's quite nice. It's a bit of a hint for future films. But I will be following up probably at the weekend. But I mean, I'm trying to, when you delay real work for 6 weeks or 60 days, you can't then keep doing your fun work. You know what I mean? After those 60 days, you go and say, right, pause, do the real work for a bit. So I'm at that point.
Yeah. 2 dads here. Roman coins, eh? That's my thing as a small finds expert. Yeah. You guys should like.
I was just thinking of that. I feel.
I know you were. As soon as I read Roman coins, you're like,
Oh,
And I did too in my head. I was like, oh,
I feel like
Sam's dead.
Sergeant Roadkill should elaborate.
Yeah. Well, I've got well, I don't know. I think we should probably get going soon.
This was fun though, Stuart. Nick was a great old addition.
Was
We've had a lovely super chat revenue. I mean, I'll of course say final super chat if we can get on that $20, 23. I'll say 23. And obviously it'd be in another minute, 2 minutes. End at the 11. If we can get on that $23, that'd be fantastic. Quick fire, 3 5s, we're done. Be great. End on a high note. No, a lot of fun. And then we've got Prodigy on Friday.
Yeah.
We've got Christmas coming right up. I think we're both still committed to making content. It'll just be a little bit around that.
It might be staggered, but I don't know. We'll see.
Because
I think that could be fine as far as I'm concerned anyway.
Yeah, 23rd, which I'm very thankful it's not 24th, because that would suck. 23rd, I am working on a plan B, because I might not be editable me during that time, so as another Saturday release, aiming for. But I think it won't cause too many hiccups. I think it just about clicks in well. And I'm certainly excited to see the final 3. I'm really, really interested to see how they pay off the next 3. I think they're going to really hit a beat.
Mm-hmm. Prequel says, thanks for the stream. It was great getting to chat with some fellow fans. Good to see you. Hopefully you come back.
Yeah.
And Jasper Jedi
Happy
says,
Friday.
I think one of the best diverse discussions we've ever had here. A lot of great back and forth. Good to hear. Thank you so much.
Because we're not stuck at any particular way. I mean, the fact is, if you throw out a while of Discovery Season 1, we will debate it, and we'll probably give you a lot of conceits. 100% our remit. Will be absolutely fair if you can justify it. 100%.
And Sergeant Roadkill says, I used to work for the British Museum, now with the archaeology unit in London. I'll tell you all about the finds some other time. Send you a copy of my finds book. Bye.
I will pass on to my dad, who's been a Roman historian for a very long time. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yes.
As they say.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, we're all good. Oh yeah. Stu, read the poll and read the numbers, and we'll close out now.
Oh, yeah. In Disco Season 1, did you buy Discovery-themed merchandise, excluding Eaglemoss ships? Yes, I bought merchandise. Or no, never bought anything. No wins with 80%.
I thought it'd be lower than that. I'm quite pleased. Yep. I guess
There was nothing available, though. It's kind of a...
I mean, yes. But there's always going to be coasters and shirts, and there was always that stuff.
Yeah.
And they still didn't buy it.
Yeah. And Gorgonzola says, Samuel, please check soon if you got the email this time.
I mean, if you sent... I mean, every time...
He said he just resent it. So.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let me look. Since you've got us...
Well, guys, if you haven't hit like yet, hit like. We have 111 likes, which is awesome, but can we get to 120? If you're watching this after the fact, hit the like button anyway. Let's try to get to 120.
Yeah, didn't see this email. This entirely didn't notice it. So that's great. Thank you. Didn't see it. Cool. I will keep that as a tab open.
Good job.
Yes. Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, we'll see you on Friday. He'll see you on Thursday. Thank you, guys. Till then, he is Captain Foley.
He is Commander Dawkins.
And he was Captain Hunter.
Ooh, he was. He's gone now.
Yes.